How we doing? Frazier Friday, FTLIVE, Braun, Kratz, and Todd Frazier with us. What's up? Ready to go. Actually, I want to start with Kratzy, though.
Dude,
Kratz,
stop it.
I encourage people to send us notes. I'm not going to do like, a 20 back and forth combo with people on Instagram, but I mostly answer most of the DMs we get with baseball questions. Actually, there was a dude on yesterday who was complaining about our conversation about the Astros and the sign stealing from the Legends territory that we talked to Todd Father about. And I wrote him back and say, hey, listen, like, we cover every team. I don't think we overdo it with the Astros stuff. We tell it like it is, but also have a ton of respect for the wins they put together, whatever. And he was like, oh, thanks. He was like, I was just chiming in because I'm pissed.
Usually when you come back at those guys that understand a little bit about who we are, it's like, bro, they just commented back. Like, this is the coolest thing. They're like, oh, no disrespect. But, dude, you're a great ball player or something like that. And then you'll get the ones that are nasty. But most of them are like, yo, I didn't mean nothing by a player. And just move on.
Exactly. It was very cordial. It was nice. He was like, hey, I watch and listen to you guys all the time.
They don't think you'll
there's other
back,
places, there's if you're another podcast or a digital show that covers just one team, you're very anti-Astros, it might be a very different case. So with this, it was like, oh, wait, we cover all 30 teams. No big deal. All right. So, and then I had one other note from someone who said, tell Erik I went to school with someone who's related to him. Boyertown High School. He will know.
Does
that mean anything to you?
I'm not related to anybody.
Boyertown.
All right, I'm gonna let him know. And then the follow up was, are you gonna ask him on air? And so there you go.
Yeah,
I asked him on air.
Boyertown Bears. Those dudes were playing sports against them coming up. I'm not sure who he's talking about.
What's the name? What's the account name?
The last name's Kratz. Oh, what's the account name? I'll give it to you.
If the last name's Kratz, I'm probably not related. Sorry. I know it sounds crazy, but like something happened in my family tree where like I'm related to very few Kratzes.
Kratz with an S?
No.
Oh,
he said the kid's last name was Kratz. It's LGM52 is the name of the account.
You know who he is, but you don't want to bring it up. Hey, we got to dig into this a little more. Because something happened with him and LG Kratzy. That's the real Kratz. Please stand up.
No.
We'll do some more digging.
I'm not related to a lot of Kratzes, but there's definitely Kratzes out there that have come up and be like this one dude was like, yeah, my wife said she's your second cousin. Her dad used to be a Kratz or something like that. And I was like,
a Kratzman.
It's a dead giveaway.
Not a craftsman, but a Kratzman.
Ooh, I like that. The Kratzman and the Todd Father are charging the mound.
Yes.
And we are getting to Ken Rosenthal's latest on Dylan Cease, what he's hearing about the trade market for what looks like one of the bigger prizes of the offseason when he does eventually get moved. And he will get moved, people, okay?
I hope so.
So, yeah, I think so. And, hey, Todd Father, the Yankees are exploring Montgomery and Snell, but also Dylan Cease.
I've heard.
And the White Sox, according to Ken, are weighing offers. The Yankees and Orioles are among those to express sincere interest, according to Major League sources that briefed Ken on the discussions. He said he's not exactly sure about which other ones seem to be, up in the mix, but St. Louis, Boston, and the Dodgers were mentioned. He seemed to say that the Reds and the Braves are out on a scenario like that. And the question mark, so let's focus on the Yanks and the Orioles. The question mark for me, Todd Father, is you have the Yankees giving up some solid pitching depth just now to acquire Juan Soto. The Baltimore Orioles are so freaking loaded with their farm system, their young players that just entered the bigs. There's pitching. There's a ton of position players. You can make the case there are too many position players. If this is a battle between those two sides in a bidding war, I don't think it's even close. It's just a matter of aggressiveness. Do the Yankees feel a desperation point that they're not interested or can't connect with Montgomery and Snell, that they kind of unload another layer of prospects and I guess some pitching depth that they might need down the stretch this year versus an Orioles team that can easily beat them, but might be a little shy on giving up prospects because they're not going to be paying for players. So this is their advantage that they have in the depth department, that they can have a whole roster of players making $700,000.
Yeah, well, from what I'm hearing, I know Snell, before I get on the other subject, wants to come to Yankee Stadium and play there. I don't know who wouldn't. It's just one of those places where I'm biased. Kratzy, you're a little biased too, but it's a great place to play, just like LA is, just like, you know, some of these other places. Baltimore's a great place to play if you're a hitter, you know, maybe not anymore. Maybe not anymore.
Not as much.
I take that back.
Still.
But yes, let's go to Dylan Cease. He has a bunch of suitors, as we've heard here. The Orioles, get rid of a couple of your prospects for this guy. Dylan Cease is a really good baseball player, as we know. Kratzy's looking at me like, I don't know. You got a bunch of guys that are ready to play that can help out the White Sox. And you know what? They might not be good for the first couple of years, but they're going to eventually be taken off like they can. And he's a really good pitcher. They need pitching. Yankees need pitching. Everybody needs pitching. Dylan Cease will help any ball club. It's a matter of who you're willing to give up. And I think the Orioles right now are the first team that should be doing it because they need a guy like this to not solidify, they'll need more pieces, but this is a number one caliber starter for them, and then they move on from there. This will be something that Baltimore can look back on and be like, you know what? All right, we did our due diligence, and we got a guy here. Let's go on. Let's try and get over that hump, Kratzy.
I don't know that Dylan Cease is a number one. I don't think he's
not for the Orioles if he goes there.
I don't think he's better than Bradish. I think if you're looking for a guy who is not only going to help Bradish get better, just speaking just on the Orioles, not on the Yankees.
Sure.
Burns is the guy. Burns is the guy. I think everyone's overhyping the 2 years that Dylan Cease is available. And I love Dylan Cease's durability. Burns gives you durability. I think Burns is that next step. He's that ace compared to Dylan Cease maybe being your number two. There's no issue being a number two. If you're coming in and he's your second starter in a playoff game, you are good. Not woo.
I'm going woo. I'm going woo.
So you think the Orioles, what you just said, they need to do more.
Yes, of course.
You think the Orioles are done if –
I don't think they should be.
But based on how they're moving, they're done because they're not willing to part with prospects.
Go ahead.
Scott has something to say.
Yeah. You're good, sir.
Oh, hi. Corbin Burns isn't getting traded.
Oh, why is that?
He's just not. Robert Murray, friend of the show, came out yesterday and said it's looking very, very likely that he's not being dealt. You always have to weigh a player not being dealt versus a front office member leaking that to try and make it tougher to pry a player away, right? To try and boost an asking price. But I genuinely believe that Milwaukee is not going to do much to give them, a net positive this offseason, but I don't think they're stripping it down. I just don't think it's their style. I think that they're bitter about losing Counsell, and they won the division. So I don't think he is being dealt. Right now, all right, let's do this. Raise your hand if you think that Corbin Burns will be on the Milwaukee Brewers on opening day. Okay, so now let's look at the trade market again. Unless you're paying $150+ million a year for a Snell or a Montgomery, and there's only two that are at that level, right? It sounds like Imanaga, for example, is a little scary for the Yanks because he's an extreme fly ball pitcher with low velo and also doesn't project to be a 1 or a 2. So you got two guys that could project towards the top of a rotation that cost a ton of money, or Dylan Cease for 2 years, $25 million. In 2022, his ERA was 2.02. He had some inconsistency last year. He had fucking terrible defense behind him with the White Sox last year. To me, it looks like a classic change of scenery, and he looks like the 2022 version again with a 2.5 ERA, just mowing hitters down with that slider. So I think he is a 1. Sure, if he joins the Orioles, Kratz, and you want to say Bradish is 1, he's 2. He's still a 1. They just would have 2 1s, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Can't have 2 1s.
1A, 1B.
1 + 1 equals I have 2 1s.
No, I hear you, and I said that when they traded Hauser. When they traded Hauser, they were, it was like, well, why would you trade Hauser and Tyron Taylor? Like, they essentially got rid of the amount of money that it was going to take to possibly give Burns a raise in arbitration. So to me, that was the first step that I felt like they're moving in the direction to keep Burnsy. But there's other to me, like if you're the Braves, and I know this is completely outside the box, nobody ever does this, but I don't understand why we can't look at this type of thing. Everyone's talking about 1-year deals, okay? The Braves won the playoffs. Won the division last year. The Brewers won the division last year. All of a sudden, the Brewers, because they're a small market team, the smallest market team, they're looking to get rid of their ace. Why aren't the Braves looking to get rid of Max Fried and sign Jordan Montgomery? If they're not going to re-sign Max Fried, why is he not
ready?
Go ahead.
Number one, they won't pay Jordan Montgomery $150+ million. That's not generally what the Braves do. You saw what they just did with Sale. They're paying him 2 years, 20. They don't do that. It's not in their DNA. They're not going to sign a pitcher like that off the market when they've got all these extension dudes.
They tried to sign Nola.
They're not going for Montgomery. And also, sure, I guess they tried to sign Nola. I don't know how real the offer was, but
I heard it was close. I heard it was almost essentially the exact same thing, and Nola got that from the Phillies because he wanted to stay with the Phillies.
Okay.
But
trading Max Fried, that hurts your team. I get what you're saying. You replace it with another dude that you feel good about, but I don't know. I don't see that. It's
the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the Phillies going after Yamamoto. We're gotten way off topic here because we're talking about Orioles.
That's okay. This is why it's a great show.
But we're talking about the Phillies supposedly made an offer at Yamamoto. Was that the money that they're going to try to give Wheeler? I'm not saying they're giving him $300 million, but it's one or the other. So what happens if you sign Yamamoto this year? If you're the Phillies, does Zach Wheeler become available to these teams?
No.
Or you have 3 guys. Everybody wants their team to have 5 of the best starters. Everybody's talking about the Dodgers right now. The Dodgers don't have anybody that's thrown over 25 starts in the last 2 seasons.
That's why they need more.
Are you looking for a guy that's giving you 30 starts, or are you looking for a guy that's winning you a playoff game? Because there's 2 pieces to the puzzle here, right? If you have depth or you can get through the regular season, the problem for the Dodgers was they got through the regular season. They didn't have guys that they could trust to hand the baseball in the postseason, right? And the Braves, we're looking at a somewhat similar issue where if you look at this coming season, they have quite a few dudes that are on the younger side that they don't know what they're going to turn into, but they now feel a little better when they add someone like Chris Sale, even if he only gives them 15 starts. They're like, can we just get him to the postseason? And if he's got the fastball slider combo working with a close to 30% K percentage, we feel like he could give us 5 innings in the playoffs. I'm just telling you how some of these organizations think, in my mind.
And this is exactly the long way around the argument that I'm getting to with the Orioles then. So why is everybody pushing for the Orioles to sign somebody?
Because what's their playoff rotation?
They love Grayson
Rodriguez and
Bradish.
Okay. AL East is different too. You got to get through a beast. Like, it's not auto that you won the division last year. Everything's going to turn the same way this year, and all the young dudes are going to thrive. Like, you're going to deal with some adversity. And if that's the case, Todd Father, are the Orioles a lock to win the AL East? I know what you're going to say.
No, not at all. That AL East is up in the air. I don't care who you got. It's crazy, man. To think, you see the rosters from the Yankees, you see the rosters from the other teams. It's like, oh, well, Yankees should cruise through. Well, it's not going to happen. You need pitching. So they got to go out there and fight. And I want to go back to some of the other teams. You see, like, the Red Sox in there. It's like the Cardinals. Like, they always sprinkle in a couple other teams. And
what are you looking at? I don't know what you're looking at.
I got my little notes here. But it's just funny how some of these teams, they never get these guys. And why? Why not? Why don't they go to these places? Is it because of the money, because of the scenery, because they're not
trades or free agents?
Trades, both.
I have a question for you, Todd Father. You said Blake Snell.
Blake Snell.
To pitch at Yankee Stadium.
That's who
is that
everybody should be going
sources
for right now. No,
that's inside sources.
No, I read it. I don't know who said it, but I read it that he wanted to. That he would love to go play in the Bronx. That's what I mean. I can't quote anybody. I read it online. I forget who said it, but
Scott wants inside sources. I can give you an inside source. His exact quote was, when we played together, I want to go play in Seattle. So if you're a Mariners fan, sorry, you missed out because he wanted to go and play there.
So he said, "Screw it, I want to go back to the other side of America."
Were, "Dude, bro, I would love to play up there."
But knowing him, I think he said that about a lot of places too. Just the way
he's from there.
I get it. Okay.
He's
from there. He was pissed this past season that he didn't make the All-Star team because that's his city. And then first of all, you could have made the case that he should have made it.
Make it when he's a Cy Young Award winner?
His second half was insane. He had a bad May. He made some switches, and he still had the numbers to get there. He just was like right on the outside. You know, he wasn't like a lock, but he was close. And it made him a lot of money.
All-Star game.
Right, but it also made him a lot of money. Why? Because he was pissed and he made some switches, and then he became the best pitcher in baseball.
That guy any team should be going after him right now. I would. Him, Montgomery. I just don't understand why it takes so damn long, man.
Scott Boris's.
Oh, that's who he has.
Yeah,
both of them.
Snell has a 5.04 ERA entering May 30th. Made a start and then went on a run of 18 consecutive starts where he put together a 1.29 ERA.
Oh, God.
This is how Scott
Boras... 10 walks a game. No, I'm just kidding.
This is how
Scott he led the league. He had the best ERA, the most walks, and the least hits per 9. He is a unicorn. And obviously was a strikeout machine too. But I think there was a point...
Go ahead, Scott.
Sorry, there was a point where you were looking at a slider and it was not working the way it usually did. And it made him, and he talked about this, it made him mix his pitches more. Slider comes back, felt better about the rest of his arsenal. Boom, he looked like he was on a different level. The question is, do you believe that there's consistency there? So we've seen it in the past. We've seen ups and downs. But does the walk rate from someone like him alarm you? Or do you feel like there's anything to his game that says, I'm not giving in no matter what? Rather walk the dude because I know I can punch out the next guy.
No, it doesn't alarm me at all. As long as you're putting up zeros. You're putting up a 1.29 ERA. Whew.
But he's asking, does it alarm you in the sense like that if you're a team that's going to sign him?
Oh, do you steer away from that? No, I look at the long haul. I look at I look at the ERA because that's a big stat in baseball.
The long haul would say you don't sign him then.
So would you not sign him because he had one bad first half but one really great second half?
No, talking about like his two Cy Young seasons. And I get it, if you take anybody's 2 best seasons out, those seasons were elite. His two best seasons, you take them out, and you're talking about like Jack Flaherty type of ERA.
So would that steer
like
you
or something?
If you're the Yankees right now, would that be like
No, I love everything that encompasses Blake Snell.
Yep, I agree.
But I know him as a person, and teams don't know him personally unless you were with the Rays, you were with when he first came up, or you were with the Padres.
Agree. I think he's a great dude. And I think he's going to be just the same. He's not going to have I don't know if he's going to have 1.29 ERA, but he's going to be
Why? Why not?
I don't know.
So then your Yankees
the numbers don't say it.
But then your Yankees signed Rodon, and there was definitely some like, ooh, he's a free agent this year. Mm-hmm. He's getting after it. Do we believe in it?
No.
First year, doesn't look like it. Dealt with some injuries, so
that's why we're here and we're not there.
Yeah, no doubt. that is why front offices have a really difficult job trying to figure that stuff out, because you're going to end up giving Blake Snell, I think, $180 million.
Wow.
Okay, but if you're a league average pitcher and you can eat some innings, and I know Snell doesn't eat innings like some other dudes do, but he mostly stays on the field at least. He just might not give you, consistent 6 2/3, 7 innings, whatever, although almost nobody does, right? You're still worth like $15, $20 million as a pitcher on the free agent market, right? I mean, Frankie Montas just got $16 million, right? So Blake Snell, between those Cy Young seasons, his ERA plus, right, his adjusted ERA, 100th league average, was 104. He was still an above average pitcher. So he's still probably a $15 to $20 million pitcher if he's that. If he's anything like he was this past season, he's a $50 million pitcher. So do you think in a 7-year period, he can do that again, where he at least has 2 or 3 standout seasons that are worth 50, right? Mm-hmm. And then his league average for the other period of that time. Then he's worth it.
I think so.
I like him.
I do too.
And I like him anywhere. I think he can handle Yankee Stadium. He's pitched there 1 billion times. You know, he can handle New York. He's a really good interview. He's opened up a ton. He cares. He's got a good build for durability. So I'm in.
Scott, he had to put the interview part in there too. That's going to get you wins.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm busting balls.
We all respect a good interview, don't we?
We do. I do now more than ever.
That's right. You know, you're on the other side. You know, you were one of those guys. We say, "Oh, Todd Father, we like him."
Bro, you should not to change subject, but trying to interview a kid after the Little League World Series, one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. Hey, man, you did great out there, 4 for 5. You know, what were you seeing? I hit well. Like, all right. Well, what are you going to do after this? After you just won? Trade pins. You know, your mom's in the stands. You know, she's so proud of you. What do you got to say to everybody back home? Thanks.
Podfather, can I make a request? You got to do something crazy. You got to think this year for Little League World Series, you have to have 1 or 2 things in your holster where you go, this is going to require a long answer, even if it's silly, right?
I'm going to have to ask you. You're the man at that.
I can help you. I'm going to say, you got to take me through 1 full level of Call of Duty, okay? Tell me exactly what you did play by play in that level, the best level of your life. He can't just say, oh, I did it well, right?
Yeah.
He's going to say, right. I was with this character and I took you through this. Might be completely irrelevant, but at least you got 30 seconds out of the kid.
And we get to see Todd say duty on TV. That's all I want. So we can just cut that. So Frankie can just cut that and just read duty.
That's good. I like it.
That's Little League stuff right there. All right, next up, congratulations to Uncle Mike. Michael Brantley retires after 15 seasons in the bigs. 5-time All-Star, a World Series champ in 2022. Pretty close in 2016 with Cleveland, obviously. But Dr. Smooth, another great nickname for him. There's JP Morosi with the tweet. He retires with a .298 batting average over 10 seasons with Cleveland and 5 with the Astros. Played on 9 postseason teams. He was beloved. Kind of had a weird finish to his career. Still could freaking hit, though, and make contact. The one other stat I'll give you is the contact rate for him. 90.8% career contact rate, which is 6th all-time if you have a minimum of 6,000 plate appearances. He finishes right ahead of Kenny Lofton. So 91% of the time he made contact on an at-bat.
Anybody know who he originally got traded for? If you do, Scott, don't say it because I think you're more of a historian.
What, to the Astros or to who?
No, when he got traded.
Like who it was for, right?
Who it was for to go to Cleveland.
And where was he before that? I apologize.
Where was he before he went to Cleveland?
Yeah.
Well, that might give it away.
Oh, help me because I don't know.
Yeah, give him the hint.
Brewers.
Robin Yount.
He's that old.
No,
that's grandfather Mike.
So was it
the big fella, your teammate, went to the Brewers for half a season and maybe put
took
the most
over
dominant.
Milwaukee.
Went fielder?
No.
My teammate?
Yeah, CC.
Oh,
he was in the
Sebastian.
CC trade.
Oh, nice.
He was in the CC trade. Was he not the player to be named later in the CC trade?
He wasn't even the big. He wasn't even the big piece of the CC trade.
Poor Robin Yount.
It was crazy. I mean, what an incredible season. What just the dude never even after I was done playing and watching him play, you know he's going through injuries, you know he's going through, back, shoulder, all those surgeries that he had. It never looked like there was any effort at all in his swing. And I remember his dad was my first ever big league camp hitting coach, Mickey, who ended up, he was his hitting coach the whole time. And I remember him talking about just, hey, don't try too hard. Don't try too hard. You're a big fella. Don't worry about it. You can hit the ball hard. You don't have to try hard. And I'm like, okay. Well, I think his son was a better listener because to almost hit 300 in your career, who do you think the last person to retire besides Albert Pujols that was a 300 hitter?
The last one before Albert.
Most recent.
It's not me. I know that. I would say Tony Gwynn.
No.
There's one more recent than that.
Robinson Cano.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Over 3 bills.
That's what I read.
You're
Now I'm not.
You're Mr. Elias right now.
I'm not liking that answer.
Dude, this guy, I played against.
It was.
It was Robbie. I played against this guy all the way pretty much through the minor leagues. And nothing, his facial expression never changed.
He always looked like he was blowing bubbles. He always went.
No, exactly.
He's like,
this dude could strike out 3 times, which rarely happened.
No, he wasn't striking.
Rarely happened. Or he'd hit 5 home runs and same facial expression. This is the guy I emulated because of that. I would get so angry at myself. I'm like, be more like Michael. Be more like, because I'd see him. This guy I looked up to, dude. This guy was phenomenal. He could hit the ball any part of the ballpark. He could drive the ball in any part of the ballpark. He got his foot down early. He's a guy that could just pepper it one way. I mean, he was just phenomenal hitter. And people looked up to him, man. I just remember AAA watching him, how smooth he was. He was coming into his own. And then in the big leagues, he's just undercover, flying undercover, and then he'd take off. He's like, oh, this is the guy you'll never strike out. And when you did, it was like, whoa, holy cow, we did strike this guy out. So when this guy was hot, he was unstoppable, and it was all singles, doubles, and then he'd sprinkle in a home run here. But proud of him. Congratulations. Well-deserved. And like he said, man, I have young kids now, and I want to be a dad first and foremost. And you got to praise somebody like that because that's a big reason why most retire. And for the career he had, 5 All-Stars, kudos to you, bro. You did it right. A lot of people will commend you, and I commend you. Congratulations.
Agreed. Well said.
Strikeouts. 76 strikeouts was his highest ever. And that was in his 3rd season.
That was like
that
was a month and a half for me.
First full season in the big leagues.
It's a month and a half for me.
Winning player, winning hitter.
Winner.
Doesn't strike
all-around
out.
Winner.
Winning player. Hey, question for both of you guys, right? For the player perspective of what we do here. So you mentioned Brantley kind of having that chill, cool demeanor, facial expression, poker face, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you get that a lot with players in the bigs. Not all, but right? We say that a lot. Like, oh, Corey Seager, he's just here. Even when he was in his prime, Anthony Rendon, he was really just here.
Judge.
Is that a thing? Like, does that help you win?
Yes. I think
I can't do that. I couldn't do that.
I don't know what
when
Todd
I played.
thinks. I don't know what Todd thinks, but I think it's confidence. The quieter, like we had Chef on yesterday. Gary Sheffield was not like super exuberant about anything. Yeah, he said everything with his chest yesterday, but like the dudes who are quiet and confident, Jeter very rarely showed emotion. Like those guys are in it for the grind, the long haul, and to me, it is confidence. Like you know who you are. The dudes who are like, I don't know what's going on next. This is terrible. This is tough. Those are the guys that are going to grind through their careers, and it's not going to be – it looks easy, but I've seen these dudes work in the cage. I've seen the really good hitters work in the cage, and I haven't seen any of them that don't do anything and have a career-sustained success.
I think you hit it right on the head there. Confidence, knowing that – what are you going to do, 0 for 4? I'll be back tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like,
that's not how I lived.
No, me neither. It took me a while to understand that. And then another 0 for 4 came. It's like, I get them tomorrow. Then another one came. But at the same time, I'm being funny. It's just the focus and determination of knowing I've prepared myself for these moments all the time. So why do I need to get too high or too low? They always say find that happy medium. And some guys just did. And they just went like this. And they're still going that way. So, again, yeah, you got to be powerful, you got to be athletic, got to be a ball player, and but having the right attitude can change a lot of things because the mind, when you play baseball, if your mind is calm, cool, and collective, usually good things happen. Not all the time, but usually they do.
Yeah, but you can't change who you are. Like if you're an energy guy, I feel like baseball changes you.
Yeah.
Like you need to be who you are, and I feel like for so long baseball has just been like everybody stay inside the box. You are from the be who you are
always,
but still be respectful. So I think that's where baseball needs to continue to move, and I think we're moving in that direction. And that's why that's why I love winter ball. And I think anybody who feels like Latin players give like too much flair and all this stuff.
Go to a winter ball game.
Go live in the Dominican for 6 to 8 weeks. Like, you go to TGI Fridays and they'll put some flair on your burger when they deliver it to you.
I love that. That's the energy I try.
To me, I would encourage people to be who they are and not try to like fit into this mold of what they're supposed to be.
I would encourage people to even go beyond that and have fun and try to show emotion and see what happens, because I don't know, I think you'll enjoy it more and you'll look back and be like, oh, I wish I had more fun. I feel like there's players I've talked to in the past that say that. And for fans, I want to see Adolis Garcia getting booed like crazy in Houston and he bops a homer and he's flexing and he's running around the freaking bases like he just saved the world. That's
Joey
what I'm into.
Joey Votto used to tell me, how do you have so much energy every single damn game? I'm like, bro, that's just who I am.
That's you.
And if I didn't have that every day, like, it was not, bro, from spring training on, if I wasn't talking in the dugout, like, I'd be like, I felt like weird. Like, what am I doing? Am I sick? Like, I'd have to be saying something. You know that. I would chirp the whole damn game.
Shut up, Todd.
See,
that's all it takes.
That's why he's on a show. All right, let's bring in our first guest of the day here on FT, and I'm actually going to be on his show next week. Brodie Brazil joining us right now, NBC Sports California, covering the Bay Area. We're going to get into some Oakland A's. That is beyond an A-plus setup, and you can see that setup on his YouTube channel.
Yo, what are you mixing over there, big dog?
You want to see? I can change cameras. Ooh, look at that!
Wow.
Real fancy out here. Yeah,
yes.
You know what's crazy? I got into the home studio game well before the pandemic, but boy, it came in handy in 2020. I did a full season of A's baseball from my house. It's awesome.
Brody, before Scott, yeah, good. We can't.
Scott's
this isn't
drooling.
Scott's normal. This isn't Scott's normal spot. That's normally AJ's spot. He likes how the background tan makes him look tanner. But there is so much jealousy in this single shot right now, because let's go back to Brody for a second.
I look very tanned, right?
No, it's because of your ficus in the background.
Oh,
Scott is so. He is. Oh, look at that. He wants more foliage in his background, and his other shot, he has foliage. So there is jealousy here.
How did you know what that was?
You guys are burying the lead. There's one more to this. What kind of coloring is behind Brody?
Oh yeah, you're always talking about that.
He's got the neon,
DJ.
ever-changing colors. I'm Mr. Electronic Music. He's freaking
my home studio.
So jealous right now.
My home studio is like a teenager's bedroom. It's just how it is.
It does.
And actually, true story, this fake plant has survived from my first college apartment years. So like, this thing has been in an attic. It's been in a storage space. Like, it's lasted 20 years. So I figured I'd give it some love, give it some airtime here.
Were you an A's fan 20 years ago when you first bought that plastic plant?
I was an A's fan. I'm 42, so I was an A's fan 41 years ago. Went to my first game at the Coliseum in 1982.
Wow.
Okay, well, you set me up for that. So in the next 40 years, are you still going to be an A's fan?
Oh, man, that's a hard question to start with. For me, it's personal and it's professional. And I think, quite honestly, if it was just the personal side already, I might have been done with this, honestly. Yeah. It's the professional side and the curiosity and the fascination with this process, the frustration with this process that's kept me into it on an everyday basis. And by the way, I cover it on my YouTube channel on a daily basis. I want to give you guys a ton of thanks and credit for staying in on this story and all the angles and developments. I mean, you guys have a big national platform and it's growing. And I just to see others also putting attention to it, I give you guys a lot of credit.
So what are we missing?
Thank you, Brody. We appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead, Kratz.
What are we missing? I appreciate you saying that, because being on this show, being a ex-player, being on the East Coast, I will admit I am so ignorant to this topic until we started doing this show in March, because all I've ever watched is the networks and the media outlets that really don't they do whatever they can to not disseminate any of the Oakland A's. So all that I've learned in the last year, 10 months that we've been on this show, I feel like I'm still missing things because I'm not out there. So what are we missing?
The devil is in the details. And I think the national media, it's not their fault, but they have so much to focus on. And actually, like when I was out in Nashville at winter meetings, I guess about a month ago, and talking to the Matt Vasgersians of the world and John Morosi's, and I'm trying to get their take and say, well, what is the national perspective? How do you guys see this? And they're like, well, obviously people love Vegas. They love the idea of anybody going to Vegas, like a vacation or a baseball team. It doesn't matter to them. But then when we actually start to get into the weeds and all of the kind of the loose ends that exist about this plan, this process, I don't think anybody's here to say, and I know, Scott, you've talked about it on this show, nobody is overwhelmingly against the idea of Major League Baseball in Las Vegas. It's just that under these circumstances, with these plans and this process, and in a situation where it's time to show the math, like we literally have baseball and the owners unanimously approving this relocation. And I thought, at least on November 16th, that, okay, here the details would all spill out. They'd all become public. We still don't know how they're going to put a ballpark on 9 acres in the back parking lot of the Tropicana Hotel. We still don't know how they really are going to rely on tourists to sell out the stadium for projected 30 straight years. I kid you not, 30 straight years of sellouts. They don't have an interim home of 3 seasons after this upcoming one at the Coliseum. There's no language of private financing, how that's going to work, cost overruns. Like nobody just has $1.2 billion sitting on a table ready to go. And then last but not least, the whole media market size. I mean, you guys know baseball's in a weird spot already with RSNs and the rights deals. And they're going from one of the, top 5-7 markets in the country to 40. So anyway, to sum it all up, and I think fans in Oakland, they're already frustrated enough by potentially losing their baseball team. But when you lose it under those circumstances and so many questions that don't have answers, I think that's the toughest part to take right now.
Here's the speculation part that's going around, the funding. Like where is that money coming from? And it doesn't seem like anything's going on with that now, because the money is always talks at the end of the day. Like there's no design coming in. Like where are they at with these next steps, if you know anything?
I know nothing. It's $380 million of public funding, but even that has some structure to it. It's tied to that site. Like if the A's all of a sudden wanted to change sites again, you realize the Tropicana site's not even their first location in Las Vegas. That was a whole thing when it initially came out. But John Fisher, obviously part of the Gap family, and he has money, his family has money, they're tied into banks, and there might be a loan, but this is also a really bad time to take out a loan with interest rates being what they are. And cost overruns, I mean, it's spelled out as $1.5 billion. That's why people want to see these renderings. Can you actually do something Vegas caliber that, competes with the Sphere? It competes with all the other Vegas amenities and entertainment. Can you really do it for $1.5 billion? Because even when they built the football stadium down there, it turned out to be closer to 2, So there are so many questions, and you're right, the money part of it, the public part is spelled out in a lot of ways that happened this past summer, but the private part has no details, just like there's no renderings, just like there's really no information. So I try and communicate the best I can, but most of my communication is in the form of, here are the questions that don't have any answers.
Yeah, and it's a super small chunk of real estate, I mean, I appreciate you, pointing out how we have tried to keep this story in the national sphere. We bring it up to other players, even kind of random players, which I'll get to. I have a question on that front for you, but there's been jokes from people like, they're just not going to have an outfield there. Like, it's a tight space. That's why everyone's dying to see what this all looks like, because, the initial sketches weren't the real sketches. That's what we're referring to for fans.
That's another thing.
Completely
right
in the loop here, right? So those initial sketches, and I don't know if this has been the case in the past, but those initial sketches were just kind of marketing material to show what things could look like, but they weren't real.
Even more than marketing material, they were debuted on May 25th, which was the same day, the very last day the A's could submit their request for public funding in the Nevada legislative session. So the request for money came as the same day that the renderings came out, right? 60 days later, I kid you not, from May 25th to July 25th. On July 25th, it was published in the Las Vegas Review-Journal saying that the A's were not even operating on those renderings anymore, that they were just kind of a placeholder. You could wad those up because the renderings will look nothing like what the ballpark actually does. By the way, those renderings highly criticized because the site is 35 acres. And if you look at those pictures, the ballpark takes up like half the site. That's not 9 acres. So again, a lot of this has been misleading in that sense of the renderings, and also to get that push through in the public financing. Of course, the politicians, and they loved what they saw in those renderings, and then all of a sudden those renderings don't mean anything. So when the real renderings come out, right, that everybody's expecting, and I know we'll get into that, everybody's curious about what is the accuracy level of these new real renderings.
What do you think? I'll go big picture on this one. What do you think is the percentage chance? And it could be incredibly low, obviously, at this point, as things have gotten approved, even though we are still waiting for a lot of clues to be helping us figure out what things will look like in Vegas. What do you think is the percentage chance that there's some massive upset? Funding's not there. Something pops up, right? I know there's been that union battle from the teachers. It doesn't look like that's going to surface into anything. Percentage chance that the Oakland A's somehow pull off an upset and remain in Oakland.
So I could answer your question, I think, in two different ways, Scott. There's the first one of what's the percentage of Vegas not going through or getting massively delayed. I think they're right now, and as time goes on and they cannot produce renderings and they cannot produce details, I think that percentage is ticking up. Is it 20, 30%? Possibly, but that's one side of it. The other side of it is, what's the possibility that something gets upset in Vegas and that means they stay in Oakland? That to me is still such a minimal percentage, if nothing. And I say that only because until the team is owned and run by somebody completely different, I mean, it's been very clear this group wants to get this team out of Oakland. And I think the bridges have already been burned to the extent that I don't see how there's any turning back to Oakland at the current point, the way things currently stand. I'm not going to say it's impossible under some different way, but as things are right now, I don't see them ever coming back. So again, the Vegas side happening or not, that's one part of it, but coming back to Oakland is so far-fetched at this point under this group. I think that's near nothing.
How far? You said the bridge is burned. How far did that fire burn? Has it burned the entire Northern California, all the sites? Because before it was San Jose was talked about, and then there was like right refusals. Have they burned all their goodwill in? If Fisher continues to be the owner, have they burned all their goodwill in Northern California?
I think that certainly the fan response and the public response is not great right now based on just how long this process has gone on. It's almost like, guys, if this were a done deal and it was all set and they just moved on and overnight it was done, the public would move on. But because there's so many things that make you say, wait, this isn't actually done, this may not happen, why can't you just get on with it? I'm not here to speak for the city of Oakland, the mayor's office, Alameda County. I do think that they would still negotiate. They would still try and make things happen. Those other sites you talk about, they're probably all done with. It would really be down to Oakland at the current Coliseum site, which is literally ready to go. Challenge is the A's are finishing off their purchase of 50% of that Coliseum land, so they own half of it with the city of Oakland. That's going to be interesting. And then the other site is Howard Terminal. It's 55 acres. It's got basically all the approvals that it needs. The Port of Oakland wants to move forward on it. The city of Oakland wants to move forward on it. They have $600 million of infrastructure money all lined up from state and federal grants. So to answer your question, like the opportunities still exist in Oakland. They've just got to get somebody interested in actually pursuing it and not turning away from the negotiations that were so very close back in April.
All right, so here we are, February 5th. You've been through this entire drama. You kind of hit on it a little bit right there. Would it have just been better if they had done what the Baltimore football team had done and said, pack it up in the middle of the night and a clandestine, just nobody knows about it, secret, hey, we moved to Vegas, neat story, here we go. Would that have been better or would that have been more scarring?
Usually, I think when you're trying to pull a fast one, isn't the key part of that pulling a fast one?
This is not fast.
No, and that's the point. Is like the longer this drags on, the more details, the more time exists for idiots like myself to wait a second, what? That can't be right. And so again, I think, and let me be very clear about this. You know, people in Oakland are so convinced, based on what they know and the plans that have been laid out, they're so convinced that someday they will be proven right and that Oakland was a better option and that there were opportunities here and that Las Vegas still has a lot of questions. I'm not saying Las Vegas is impossible. It's kind of like what Paul Sewald said on your guys' show not too long ago, that just under these circumstances, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out. But nobody in Oakland wants to say, I told you so in 7 years when they also just lost their team. There's going to be no reward in saying, yep, I was right, but oh yeah, we lost the team.
Oh, okay, Top Father. Wait, I got a quick one on Sewald, if I can, just a follow up here. So I think all as a unit on FT said, like you're saying, Vegas, I think, can house a team. Here's the problem I have. This is not the right organization to do that. There's been so many mistakes made. I think you need a fresh group that comes in and does that. And so playing off of what the Sewald conversation went into is that we asked a guy who's from Vegas about branding. Do you think that this team should be called the Vegas A's? Because it seems like they are so firm on that and think that the brand of the A's will help them. Decisions are all made for money, especially in our sport, right? This isn't just an Oakland thing. Like MLB is a money-hungry group. That's no secret. This is a business, okay? So the decisions are made because they say, Brodie, we're going to be the A's. That'll make us more money, that branding, right? They'll still be Oakland fans. I think they're fucking wrong. I think that they should be called the Vegas something else, and that will feel like it's a fresher, new thing in Oakland, or in Vegas, I should say, for the fan base, even if it isn't a different organization. And I know they were even fighting with the city already about that, where Oakland, the city, wants to keep the name the A's in case they ever get a new team. Why are they so obsessed with keeping that name? I think that's a massive mistake.
I think actually, Scott, as much as we agree that baseball's about money, I actually think that they are trying to connect themselves to history and something that's existed. And I think, I mean, you know, the A's name dates back to literally, 1901. I actually think it's more of a preservation of history that they're worried about, you know, not only moving this team, but then eliminating a name that's been around for 120 plus years. Again, that's my instinct on this. Because you're right. What is the benefit of keeping the A's name in Las Vegas? I also, last night when we were texting, by the way, I covered the San Jose Sharks. I do the same thing, their pre and post game show. And so I've watched the Vegas Golden Knights emerge in the last 6-7 years. And that's the one thing about every time I've been to Vegas, it's very clear they love that team because it's theirs. It was given to them. It was an expansion team. They got so fortunate with their draft. By the way, they are not the prototypical expansion team by any means. They've already won a Stanley Cup in 6 years. They've been there twice to the final in 6 years. They got fortunate with the way the NHL works in its draft. But people are misled by that down there. They think that success is instant, that the A's will also have that success. They also look at the A's name and say, well, that's not ours. That's existed in Philly, Kansas City, Oakland, and it would be the first team, right, to have the same name across 4 cities. I don't think they want Oakland's and Kansas City's and Philly's leftovers. I really don't. I actually think that's a turnoff to them down there. And so, again, it's amazing to me that, you know, in all of the things that have been expressed, people in Oakland want to keep the name. People in Las Vegas don't really want the name. And yet, you're right, the team is insistent on, nope, we're actually doing this. We're bringing Stomper down with us, too.
No, not Stomper.
Stomper. Keep Stomper.
I think Stomper might turn into a spearmint rhino when he's in Vegas, by the way. But oh, you guys got that.
I know what you're talking. I know what you mean there.
Many do.
Many do, except Erik.
I've seen the ads.
Beautiful soul.
Google it.
No, don't Google it. Anyway,
don't Google it.
Don't mess up your Google
this
search.
Might be. Anyway, what have you heard? I can't even speak anymore. Thanks. Have you heard what they're going to do with the stadium? If they do leave, is it going to stay up? Like, have you heard anything about that? Are they going to try and do something with it?
Yeah, there's plans. They've got a group that wants to develop the 120 acres of the Coliseum site. The problem is the county of Alameda and the city of Oakland used to own the Coliseum land and complex 50-50. The county, a handful of years ago, made a sweetheart deal and sale to the A's to buy 50% of the land. And the A's just got called out on if there's a relocation. They owe all the rest of the money, which apparently they're paying up by the month of May. So by May, the Oakland A's will own 50% of the Coliseum land that they are vacating and want no part of in terms of their future there. That presents, to me, a huge complication. The city of Oakland, they want to move forward with, it's valuable land, guys. It's in the middle of our very built out Bay Area. I mean, it's got its own BART train stop right there. It's right off of Interstate 880. So it is such a valuable piece of land for something. And yet the A's are going to own 50% of it. And the mayor has already said that she's worried about the A's kind of sabotaging it and holding Oakland hostage by owning half of it. Again, those are her words. I don't know what their interest is, but it's having a bad relationship already between the two. And then they co-own it together. It's not good for whatever the future holds at the Coliseum.
All right. So I've got a question for you, Brodie, because we've had a lot of players on, and I think most of them are just not in tune with what's going on. It's not really their job. Even the Oakland A's players themselves, and also they can only say so much. But I give them credit because they don't want to go all out sometimes if they don't understand what's going on with the situation. So I feel like we've at least been trying to help enlighten some of them, because they'll be like, oh, they couldn't work it out. And we're like, it's much more complicated than that. So I wanted to ask you about a guy who grew up an A's fan in the area, right? So CC Sabathia said in November, it hurts me that we can't get a facility that can house professional athletes where they can play at the highest level. Now he works for the league now. He works on the owner side. So he said, he's been in the meetings about the relocation. And he just said it's been hard trying to get a stadium, growing up there as a fan, going to the same stadium as a kid. He just said, I mean, it's not feasible. Playing in that stadium is not fair. We need a new place to watch a baseball game and enjoy baseball. So he was pretty understanding and not critical of it. I think we can all infer at least partially why, he would be on the side that he's on. But does it disappoint you when a player like that could be on the side of a rallying cry to say, no, this is possible? It's not like it is impossible, right? There's not some I don't know, old tablet that we found that says, thou must not have a stadium here if the city doesn't give you $500 million. It is possible to play Major League Baseball in Oakland with a large fan base. So when you see a player like that, in my mind, who could be part of a rallying cry to say, hey, this is not how it should be. We are getting screwed as a city. We are one of the more diverse cities in the country. And that is a big part of what our sport needs to be able to keep connecting with. What were your thoughts?
I don't know Karsten Charles Sabathia personally. We have a lot of mutual people that we both know really well. It's just not somebody that so I don't want to speak for CC. But yeah, I saw that when it came out. And I was also quick to understand and realize that he is on the commissioner's ambassador group. Like he's literally not just tied into baseball, but he's literally tied into Rob Manfred's close confidant of now players. I know several other players personally that are in that group. I've talked to them about it, and they don't even want to comment on that, largely in part of just the heat and the temperature of that. To your point, a little bit, and I would also say I'm not sure what education CC has on this topic. He's heard what he's heard. I don't know where he's got it from or how much he's paying attention to this. Yeah, he's a Vallejo guy, so he should, you would think, his family and friends that live around here, and you would think that it would get passed on to him. Just, hey, here's the background on this. But again, I also don't know what he's supposed to say. It is so unfair from the player perspective, and I could do a whole deep dive on this. In fact, I just put a video out on my channel this morning actually, about how bad I feel for the players in all of this. They're caught in the middle. It's not their job to worry about the ownership and the stadium, and they don't even know where they're going to play for next year. The team's not spending money to surround them with a good team. They can't even sign a free agent for more than a one-year deal because nobody wants to take that uncertainty of where's the team going to be in 2025. I mean, clearly CC Sabathia has not had a conversation with Trevor May, but again, I think the player perspective is not what it actually is being said to be right now, if that makes sense. Like whatever quotes and things you'll hear like you guys had Nick Allen on a while back, and he was just kind of quick to kind of just get past that part of the conversation. I don't blame Nicky. I love him. That's not his damn job. And I appreciate you guys for just floating it out there and just seeing, kind of just seeing going fishing a little bit. Maybe he did have maybe he really did want to talk about it, but so many guys are uncomfortable because they just don't know. And I don't expect them to know. And then the problem is people will quote them and they'll take that very seriously. So again, I know it's a long answer, but I think there's a lot to what you mentioned there.
Don't feel bad for the players, because as a minor league player, if I had an opportunity to play in the big leagues, for the A's or with Brent Roker, with Langoliers, with Nick Allen, with guys, who guys that are big league players. If I had an opportunity and it was the big leagues, I really don't care if it's in Oakland.
But let me point this out to you though. Like you're on a team now, and you want to you get one shot at your rookie season or your first couple years. And what is it, like half of big leaguers that are rookies don't even make it to year 5 in the show, right? You want to be able to stay. You want to play in a coliseum that's packed or at least has more than 2,000 fans. You want to be surrounded by a team that spends at least somewhere close to league average on payroll. Like you want to be given an equal platform. I know what your point is, and it's totally understood. I'm just saying that being an Oakland A right now is a different experience than I think 29 other teams.
Talked to Christian Yelich about being a Miami Marlin back in when they were still the Florida Marlins. Like the stories that he came out with through there, that stuff never came out until I played with him. He's talking about flying on planes that don't have air conditioning, sweating on these planes. So like what the players in Oakland are going through, yes, they're in the big leagues, but if the ownership never pays for any free agents, I'm never going to say somebody in the minor leagues or somebody in the big leagues is a minor league player, but they have a lot of minor league players that are just like, I forget who it was. Some historian was like, well, we can get rid of all the players in the big leagues and just bring up the next wave of players that would play for a lot less money. They're actually putting that into practice. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, they've lost 100 games. Here's perspective for you. In Oakland, since 1968, they've lost 100 games 3 times. Once was 1979. The second time was 2 years ago, and the third time was last season. So it's only happened 3 times. It's now coincidentally happened twice now in back-to-back years. And I'm not a betting man, but I would expect that they'll flirt with 100 losses for a third straight season this year. And you know what? Look, when I talked to David Forst at winter meetings in Nashville, one of my assumptions was that, hey, you must be having a hard time like locking down any free agents for the future of your team externally, because everybody's going to say, yeah, well, if I sign a deal with you 2 or 3 years, where am I going to call home in 25 and 26? And he's like, that's absolutely a problem. It comes up in almost every conversation and negotiation he has. So look, it's not his fault. Again, there's somebody else I kind of feel for right now. Not his fault. He's in the middle of it.
We've been talking specifically Oakland. This is going to kill a fan base in Oakland. Are they going to become Giants fans? I doubt it, but my fear is it's going to kill a area of baseball. I feel like I've seen it because I have connections in some of the small, tiny little podunk towns that lost their minor league teams. We're talking about 2,300 fans a night. But there's a connection to that community with baseball that is wiped off the map now. They may have an independent team. They may have – my fear is kids in Oakland are not going to like baseball. If they don't like baseball now, it's gone without an expansion team coming in the next – it's not happening in the next 5 years. So now it's an entire generation, 5-year generation of kids who will not want to play baseball. And to me, that hurts the entire product. And this is also an owner issue.
There's a clip of me on the internet from our post-game show the night that the public money was approved in Las Vegas. And I broke down in tears. And it was not staged or planned or intentional, but I got to talking with Bip Roberts, my co-host and analyst, because I was out in a suburb, San Ramon, earlier that day, and I saw a kid wearing an A's hat. And for the first time, it hit me that in 10 years, if this move happens, you're not going to see any more kids with A's hats. In fact, it's going to quickly taper off and completely taper away. You're literally watching the process of extinction of a fan base, a franchise, traditions. You're watching it happen right in front of your very eyes. And so, to your point, absolutely. And it's not people say Oakland, and that is in Maine. That's where the team calls home. But Oakland and the East Bay of the Bay Area is so many other communities between Berkeley and Emeryville, El Cerrito, Hayward, San Leandro, Castro Valley, Dublin, Danville. I can go on and on. But it's a whole huge region. It would be a big populated area in other parts of the country. You're right. It is losing the team that's been passed down for at least a couple generations now. And fans have already stated what they're going to do. Like this year and beyond, some are saying I'm done. Some are saying I'm going to go to the parking lot and just never go into a game and just boycott that way. I can't tell even fans what to do. I don't know. There's no playbook for this. There's no script. When the Expos went to DC in the early 2000s, that was under a little bit of a different narrative, but that's only happened once in the last 50 plus years in Major League Baseball. So I don't even have advice for fans that say, well, what should I do? I don't even know what I'm supposed to do, quite honestly. I've got 130 pre and post game shows to do this year. I don't know how that's all going to happen, honestly.
What the advice is going to be from most people? Well, what are you doing? There's the 49ers and the Golden State Warriors. They're freaking awesome teams and clearly pretty well-run franchises. Just go to other sports, even if it costs you more per ticket, right?
Here's a personal conflict I have. My dude is Bob Melvin. I love Bob Melvin. I met him, obviously, in his 10-plus seasons here in Oakland. Our dog here at home is named Melvin. So I'm looking across the bay right now, and I've always paid attention to the Giants. Who I cover and who I work for doesn't entirely define me. I went to Candlestick Park growing up. It's none of that. But I'm all of a sudden kind of interested in what those guys are doing this year, Ohtani or not, if that makes sense. But
you should be.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of A's fans are looking over and going, well, if this is it, I still love baseball. So we'll see. And again, I can't speak for everybody, but it's so early. I say it's early. It's not early. It's late in this process. But there's so much dust in the air. People don't exactly know what they're going to do with their fandom. But I will say this, the departure of a team, the way they're doing it, the fashion they're doing it, if it were done in a different way, if it was just business, I think it might have a different taste in the mouth. Like when the Warriors went across the bay to San Francisco, granted, they left Oakland, but they were from San Francisco. That's originally where they landed when they came out here for the very first time. Plus, San Francisco never had an arena. They're 7 miles as the crow flies away from Oakland. Not great, but not a big deal. This one, totally different, and it's played out totally different.
Your dog's name is Melvin?
Labrador Retriever. He's 9 years old.
That is like a 9 out of 10 name for a dog. But
my wife was.
You could have gone with Bomel. That might have been the coolest name ever, Bomel, and it would have been still after your hero.
I have the text thread of me and my wife. I screenshotted it from 9-10 years ago. We were having that. We wanted to name him after somebody A's related, and she's like, Melvin sounds like an old man. I was like, that's the best part of it. But here's the greatest part. When I used to show up to the Coliseum, people would say, hey, how's it going? Like, how's your day been? That's great. I've already walked Melvin. I've picked up Melvin's poop. I've told Melvin he's a good boy. And they're like, what? Oh, the dog. So
I like that.
Hey, by the way, it just gets me thinking. This is a reverse San Diego situation. The Chargers leave San Diego. The Padres invest more in their ball club, and not just on the field. They just invested more in everything around San Diego baseball. And the Padres are the talk of the town, and that is a fact. This is the reverse situation where it's like, hey, if you're a big sports fan, especially if you're not playing baseball and you're 40 years old, but you got some disposable income, you're just moving on. You're not gonna go to Vegas every other weekend to watch the A's and shed a tear. So my last question is, because you are covering this team on the field, where are we at? Do you think this team, even when they move to Vegas, will spend money and become a legitimate franchise again? Because even when they had their last set of mini glory days, the Olsen Chapman type era, obviously we're looking at a team that was well built, but still didn't spend to actually put them over the top. Do you think they'll ever be a franchise like that, given the way that they've run? Hey, we tank for years, we get to this point, and I'm not telling them to be the Yankees, the Mets, or the Padres, but to at least be, in the mid-market range to be a World Series contender, like Arizona, right? The Diamondbacks will push in when they've got their chance.
It's funny you mentioned San Diego. First off, I just want to address that because we were there for winter meetings 2 years ago, and just kind of walking around Petco Park again, it made me realize that if the Padres didn't build a new stadium and they were still playing, I call it Jack Murphy still, whatever it was at the end, but if they didn't get away from there and get to something new, they probably also would have moved. And here was San Diego that put a brand new ballpark in kind of an underutilized warehouse district, right next to the gas lamp, which, great place to be, by the way. They took advantage. They are an identical situation of what Oakland was, or what Oakland could be like with Howard Terminal. Use an area that people would love to come visit. But to your point, the difference is what the Padres have done in the last, handful of years here, spending extreme amounts. But even before that, getting a good crowd because they paid for a good product, an interesting team that you go out and love to see. Here's the thing about the A's. They are so far off the average MLB payroll per season. Like they were $100 million below the league average this past year. They're the only team in baseball that's never had a $100 million team payroll. They're one of 3 teams with the Royals and White Sox that have never given out a $100 million player contract. Eric Chavez had the biggest player contract early 2000s. Point being that they have so much money they would have to spend in their first decade of Las Vegas, an additional $1 billion just to get to league average of payroll. So if there's already questions about, hey, the stadium costs this and, there's challenges there, paying for players is going to be a whole nother can of worms that nobody has really even gotten into yet.
It sparked my interest and when Scott said about Olson and Chapman and that crew that they had, I know for a fact that they offered Matt Chapman 7+ years, over $75 million. What would have happened if he would have signed that? Would this kind of stuff have happened? Were those guys not accepting those extensions because they didn't like it, or because they already saw this kind of thing coming down the road? If you had Matt Chapman for 7 years, and that year was his 2019 All-Star season, he's still on this team. Maybe they keep Olson around. Maybe they're not giving away Frankie Montas. Maybe they're not, those kinds of things. Is this still happening, or was this going to happen irrelevant to any of that stuff?
I think the quick answer is they all saw the writing on the wall and that they were not going to ever get the deals in Oakland that they could get elsewhere. That being said, those guys you mentioned, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Marcus Semien, Mark Canha, Liam Hendriks, those guys loved Oakland. There is still a text thread that exists between Oakland players from the 2018, 19, 20 vintage. Like, what does that say about the group? They loved their teammates, each other. They loved playing for Bob Melvin. It was going, like, as soon as, honestly, when the work stoppage happened and the lockout happened and they let go of Bob Melvin right before that, it was so clear that they were about to dismantle the franchise again. And actually, you mentioned the Matt Olson contract offer. Do a little research on the Marcus Semien contract offer. It was a layaway type contract. You guys talk about deferrals for Shohei Ohtani. It was a deferral of a different kind. Marcus will pay you $4 million in the first year for year one, and then we'll pay you it was almost like a Bobby Bonilla deal, but it wasn't even that much money. And this is your homegrown shortstop. Look what Marcus has turned out to be, a World Series champion and so on, Gold Glover. But the writing was on the wall for those guys that their time was not long. And I think in the back of their minds, it was, let's try and hurry up and win here if we can, because we're never going to get the support that we deserve.
So my last thought here is, one, based on what you said about the payroll. If they're not good, especially from the jump in Vegas, they will not go to the games. You will set even that franchise and that city's baseball back. So that is a major, major issue. There is so much shit to do in Vegas. You need to grab them right from the jump. And even the best teams that have the strongest fan bases, if they tank and they don't win games for a while, you lose people. It's just how it is. And the other thing, lastly, is Todd Father. Were you a Nets fan growing up?
I was.
New Jersey Nets?
Was. Oh, yeah.
At old Continental Airlines Arena?
Continental Airlines Arena.
Big-ass Nets fan, right? Even for the shitty times when it was Stephon Marbury and nothing else, and we were terrible.
Van
and then
Horn
it was
with the
Jason
high
Kidd,
sock.
Van Horn, Kenya Martin, whatever, right? All that. They moved to Brooklyn. It's cool. I've been to some Brooklyn Nets games. I love it. But I don't care if they win or lose. No. And my basketball fandom went down once they left. I'm a Jersey guy. And once they went there, it's not like a jump across. I mean, it is a jump across, but it takes forever to get there. Yeah. It wasn't the same for me anymore. And that's basically
what's moving
to a very close situation. This is Oakland to Vegas.
That's what will happen.
You'll lose them.
There's even one more thing. There's one more thing to consider. Brooklyn doesn't have Tiesto performing right up the street, if you know what I'm saying. There is so much competition for entertainment in Las Vegas. If you're the A's and you're saying, well, the Giants and their baseball stadium is too cool for us and ours, what's going to happen when you're in the entertainment capital of the world? How are you going to compete with that?
You won't. Cirque du Soleil is going to just crush you because they never lose. They win every night. They nail that freaking flip every night.
It's a great spot.
Not every night.
Blue Man Group doing their little thing, whatever they do.
They don't lose.
And it's a slow burn too. It's like, I'll watch them, and then like as the months and years go by, you're like, I'll root for the Knicks, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's what's gonna happen.
100%.
It's a slow fade. It's a slow fade.
It went away.
I think they love Ohtani and the Dodgers in Vegas right now. Everybody's been saying this is a Dodgers town. And now that they've got Ohtani and Yamamoto, it's like, I think some people in Vegas would rather jump on that brand new bullet train to LA, spend a night there, rather than go see a $47 million team in the Las Vegas A's.
Couldn't be more accurate there. I'm telling you, Brodie. And I'll finish with this. We got Last Dive Bar with a super chat said, Brodie, invite FT to the February 24th Fan Fest in Oakland by LDB and the Oakland 68th. What does that mean?
It's not a fan fest. It's fans fest, as in they're the ones putting it on. I mean, you guys know that every team, right, usually has a fan fest. January, February. The A's used to have one. In fact, the Giants are having 3 different ones this year for the last couple of years. And I think, partly for obvious reasons and some for unfortunate reasons, the A's have just decided we're not going to do anything for the fans. It's going to stir up more worse than it is anything good for us. And so the fans, each of the last 2 years, last year and this year, have put together their own fans fest. The 68s is the fan group. Last Dive Bar is a merchandise operation. They celebrate the heritage of the Coliseum. So literally, I don't want to speak for them and what they're planning, but like they have the city involved. They're shutting down Jack London Square. they're putting on their, they don't mess around. Like that just goes to show you they are doing their own fans fest. Late February, that's happening. So
they're the same
that's what that's all about.
They're doing the lockout or whatever. Opening day.
Oh,
right?
for opening day, the party it's going to be the best tailgate on the planet. It's going to be freaking awesome. You know what? I'm going to go. Fuck it. You only live once. I'm going to one of those events. Okay.
What?
I marked it. I'm going to one of those events.
FTLIVE.
I'll be a reporter there. And if we can do a show there, great. I'm going. I'll pay myself there. So don't worry about it. I'm going. I'll figure it out. Right.
Come stay in my house. Anything you need, call Uncle Brodie.
I'm down. I want to stay in that room.
Put the camera on your head, though, when you go around.
Dude, I'm down. I'll bring the GoPro, the whole deal. I like that a lot. But yeah, there you go. This was important, though, Brodie. And obviously, I'll be on your show next week. So we do this for the city of Oakland and the fan base there, but also for the game of baseball, because that's the problem here, too, that I think we documented pretty well, is that this hurts our sport and the young fans of our sport, the business of our sport, the whole deal. It's just that we don't get to make those calls.
Yeah, no, it's been tragic. It's been traumatic. I'm not even kidding, guys. I mean, I've lost a lot of sleep since April when all this kind of came out, and the personal side, the professional side, this has been rough. I know some people with the A's say it's been rough on them. It's been rough on the fans, and everybody surrounding the operation.
Well, Brodie, we'll talk about it more next week, dude. You're a star. Really appreciate you coming on, especially with the rendering news coming out, or really the lack of news. So you can follow Brodie at BrodieNBCS, and definitely check out his YouTube channel at Brodie Brazil. Obviously, for all the pretty background and the whole deal. What do you got? You got last word?
I just want to say I love what you guys do, and I've been an early subscriber. I watch you guys all the time. So when I got the invite, usually I'm like, okay, I'll do it. This one I was excited about doing. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I hope it lived up to expectations, because I think we had you for like 35, 40 minutes, but it flew by.
Cruising,
it's all good.
So, man, appreciate it.
We have a fan.
Yes, we have a fan. We have a sub. One of those subs is real. Cheers, Brodie. I'll talk to you next week, dude.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you. Good stuff. I think that's important. I think there's a lot of people that are not keeping up with the story, especially because there is news fatigue more than ever in our worlds, right? Most stories expire in like 5 seconds. And some people are like, oh, yeah, I forgot the A's are moving to Vegas. I'm like, yeah, that's still kind of happening, and it's an ongoing saga. So as you can see, Brodie's not just a pretty background. He's also got a lot of good information.
He's got some clout. He's got some
clout. Yeah. Been talking about bringing him on for a minute. So we're about to, by the way, go from that to a very small market that knows how to run a freaking operation. And that is the Milwaukee Brewers. We have a show that we do called Brew Crew Territory, and you can check that out on Apple, Spotify, or check out the playlist on our YouTube channel, where we will feature some of the big interviews that we do and also go over the latest news in the Brewers world. They have been one of the more talked about franchises this offseason. And one of those reasons is early this offseason, their big-time manager, Craig Counsell, left. They just happened to have a superstar man waiting in the wings.
Big time. He's big time in his own right. Okay?
But I don't want to say big timer, okay? I caution you to say that. Why? Because there's one theme that I'm going to carry this season, and we're going to bring him in right now. Pat Murphy, the new manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, joining us right now. Pat, great to see you. And I want to start with this because we had Freddie Peralta on the other day, and he said he's going to hold you accountable for this. You cannot change your personality. You have to change the way that you do your job because it's a different job. But can we get you under baseball verbal oath that you will be the same enthusiastic, hilarious, easy to connect with Pat that we've always had for years in Major League Baseball?
Nah, I don't know, man. I might just tighten up, get that bunghole a little tight, and just act all serious like I got power, and I don't know. I don't know how else to be. So tell Freddie, he's safe.
Good. No. You know how to be. You can just go back to that facade you used to put on in college, where you're just like, oh, I'm happy. Oh, Arizona's coming in. We're gonna fight these guys. Pedroia, go get them. Kill those guys.
Ish, what are you doing, Ish? You guys ever see that movie, Woody Harrelson in the bowling movie?
Kingpin.
Yes.
The Amish guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so good.
That's who he called me. But he was getting his characters mixed up because Woody Harrelson in that movie is bald, but he has the hair that he just constantly pulls back. And so he found out that I was Mennonite, and as a historian that Murph is, he was like, "Oh, well, that's like Amish." He's like, "You're Ish. You're Ish from that movie." So that's where
I love that.
That's where he got the name.
Hey, Pat. So you find out this news. Obviously, we're having you on here for the first time as manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. Was this a must-have goal in your life? Because I feel like you really loved your bench coach role, and you were at peace with what you were doing, and you loved the organization. So if this never happened, would you have been okay? Or in your mind, were you like, I got to get a crack at being a full-time big league manager and see if I can win a World Series and run this operation the way I think I can?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know that I got a perfect answer. Did I want to manage? Yes. Did I love the Brewers? Did I love the situation? It was a good situation for me and my young family. Obviously, working with a guy that I had a long relationship with, getting to kind of be myself. But this just kind of happened. I didn't force it. I didn't push for it. I was totally content going someplace else. I was totally okay with what was going to happen. I just stopped. I'm at the point in my life where I just stopped pushing for things and more about just be really good at the where my shoes are. So when this all came about, it felt natural, and I'm just continuing to take it in stride if I can.
Hey, was this a situation? What's going on, big dog? How you been? All right.
How are you, man?
Good.
Great
Good
to
to
see
see
you,
you. We've
How
always
you
had
swinging?
how am I swinging? Hey, my fungo game is really good right now to my 10-year-old son's team. It's actually really good.
Nice. It's probably not though, because you're not getting evaluated. You're still hitting those backspin grounders.
Damn it! How did you know that? you know how to pitch me all too well. That's good. I use the metal bat still. I don't even use the fungo. I'm the small metal bat guy. it's going to take me a while to get used to the fungo, man.
Yeah.
I
can believe that.
Yes, for sure. Let me ask you this. So you go out, you're the bench coach for a long time. All of a sudden, this manager job comes in. Is this like, all right, this is the time now? Like, this is my time to go out there and finally be the manager? Or was it like, all right, I got to sit down with my wife. What am I going to do here? I'm nervous, this and that. Like, go through the whole process with it. I think people want to know that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't sit down with my wife because I don't have one, but
okay, I apologize.
12, 13 other girlfriends. Yeah, I sat with them all. Asked their opinion. And then, to be honest, no, I just felt like this was a transition. This was a simple thing to do. It felt right. It's not about me. It's just not. It's about the Milwaukee Brewers 2024. It's about Freddie Peralta. It's about Burns. It's about these guys from player 1 to player 60. It's about them. And my job is to, like an offensive lineman, like you open holes and you hope they run through it. And you hope you open the right hole. But you just keep doing it. You don't ask for credit. It isn't about you. It doesn't define you. It's not who I am. It's just what I do. And I want to do it. I want to do it well.
How are you going to handle the fact that the rest of this offseason, going into the season, you just said it's about the 40, 60 guys, however many it takes to win another division for the Brewers? They don't get enough talk about it because they just keep winning. You guys just keep winning. How are you going to handle the fact that really this season hinges on one player in Corbin Burns, whether he gets traded or he doesn't? How do you handle that as a new manager? You're in a new role. You know him. You know these guys. You know what makes him tick. You know how happy Freddie can be. You know how redneck Wader can be. How do you navigate if Corbin Burns, and I want you to tell us if he is or isn't going to be on the team, is on the team, how do you navigate that to win another Central Division championship?
The great thing the Brewers have done, especially when you were there, Eric, like we just took guys that nobody knew much about. We just took guys and you keep your standards what they are. The standards are, we're going out to win tonight and play good. And if somebody has to step up, they step up. We're not relying on guys that are, grizzled veterans all the time. We're relying on people that we have. Okay, who's next to step up? That's always been the charge here, and I think it'll continue. I think Corbin's going to be with us, but if they get a great package, like any of these guys with a year left, it makes sense if you get the right package. Somebody wants to get crazy, it makes sense to move a player. It's not my choice, but it is what it is, and you adjust.
So what is the next move you think for the Brewers right now? Is there free agents?
We need a third baseman, maybe full-time. Frazier to third from the booth.
You're killing me right now, bro. I'm actually getting the itch right now to come back. You're firing me up. I don't know.
You'd be good.
Well, you know what? Just your presence alone.
Yes.
Our environment that you shunned us how many times when we wanted to sign you? You signed with the. I'm trying to
such
think.
A lie.
No, you just kept shunning us, and then
Never.
Now. Yeah.
I blame it on Jeff Cedar. He bothered me too much over there at third base. Cedar, man.
Yeah, he's a beautiful man.
He is. He was the best.
No, it's what was your question? I'm just thinking about saying, if you could do it. You're only 2 years out, right?
Yeah, I'm only bro. You are on the ball right now. I love this. I could come in first, third base, DH.
You lost him.
He lost.
Dude, he dropped his phone.
I got a text from Arnold. He just said, "Stop it."
Yes.
Hey, Todd Father, come on back. Come on back. Listen, he could talk you out of retirement right now. It's not too late.
Yeah, don't be afraid. What are you fearful of?
Never.
Because other people don't do it. You haven't listened to what other people do the whole time.
Never. Never. You're right. 100%. You know what? Guys, I got to go. I'm going to get ready. Now, screw this interview.
He didn't announce his retirement, Pat. That's a fact.
Yeah, just show up in Maryville and just say, look, I want a chance. Pay me whatever you think.
That's it.
When the ball starts leaving the yard, you let me know. We need a guy in the middle of the order. Somebody that scares the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's not afraid of a number one. Somebody that can, get a little swagger, walk into the dish, or a little edge.
Yeah, I love that.
Where the hell are you? Where are you guys going? Why are you quitting? What are you, 32? How old are you?
I'm 30. Damn, bro. I feel like a little kid now. I'm 37, bro. I got to get going. You're
37.
right.
Oh, Jesus. That 37, that's really old.
Listen,
take a look at me. You want to know old?
Yeah.
No.
I'm coming to spring training. I'm going to do what Willie Mays did. Feel like he got cut. I'm jumping right on the field. And guess what? No, I don't even need a jersey. I'm ready to go.
I'm telling you, man. Presence in the middle of the order. Your perspective now from being away from it. Your kids will love it. Now your kids, how old are your kids?
9, 8, and 5.
Oh,
Perfect.
my God. Now they know it. Now they know what's going on. What number did you wear, Frazier? I forgot.
21.
I bet you can get 21.
Oh, look at this guy.
Wait,
We got action over here.
I'm
okay,
telling you.
Murph, we got action.
You know who's wearing 21?
Who? He's wearing 20. That's easy money then. That's fine. You'll give it. It's cool. Thanks.
No, I don't need a Rolex. I don't need money.
Yeah.
I need you to show up in the right mindset. That's it.
See, this is what people don't understand. This is the type of managers you freaking need in baseball right now. No cookie cutter bullshit, bro. Listen, I need a guy that's going to step up and have some fucking balls. Excuse my language. You need some balls here, man. I love this about him. You don't see this too often in baseball anymore. And that's the type of guy that's going to come in to Milwaukee, as he's been there before, and ask guys, prove yourself again. Last year's in the past. Let's go. Prove yourself to me why you're a beast. Why? Step up to the plate, have some swagger. I love that shit. Love it.
And stop worrying about all the wrong shit. It's about competing. It's about being present. It's about the next pitch. Can't do nothing about the last pitch. It's about the next pitch. And Fraze, you did it as good as anyone. You'd miss that slider by a foot, and then we'd try to waste a heater, and then you'd hit it, 420 in the right center field. And I'm like, what are we doing? You just had this edge that made you great.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Murph, you talk like this in your first, I won't say where it was, but you and I talked about it, your first big league managerial interviews, not your internship at the Padres, but when you first were interviewing, did you talk like this, or have you changed your approach in your years and you spoke like this in your job interview?
My interviews with the Brewers was just like straightforward. I know the people. I know the guys. They didn't even offer me water or peanut or cracker or nothing. In there dry. It's unbelievable. They're worried
about your heart.
Water. I didn't get there was no breaks. I had to pee like a racehorse, and I was like, I got nothing. And then, but we spoke openly, and they're great guys, and they know where I'm coming from, and it was easy.
But what about your other interview? Did you talk like this, or were you felt like you had to be kind of closed off and like this persona?
Yeah, no. I didn't. With women, I'm different. You know what I mean? Like
I can't, man. He's tripped.
We've been on here for 10 minutes now. This is the entire answer for Scott to know if he is going to be the same person or not. Murph doesn't know how to not be Murph. And if Murph, I think the difference though is Murph he may not admit this, he's soft and caring also. As much as he's joking and he could rub people the wrong way, he is also soft and caring. And if I'm a Brewers fan, because the Cubs don't spend any money except for on their manager, I would be excited that the Brewers are going to win another championship, whether they have another division championship, even though the Brewers haven't spent any money yet.
I have a follow on that last comment. So you're boys with Craig Counsell. We love him. He's done a great job, obviously, with Milwaukee for a long time and now moves on to the Cubs, okay? So let's spin it forward. First Brewers-Cubs battle. This isn't about you. I mean, you don't have that same juice. Like your friends, like you want to beat him, but you want to beat him and the Cubs just like you do want to beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. Take another layer back, though. You've been with this organization for a while. Whether people are right or wrong, and I think they're wrong, criticizing Craig for leaving, Milwaukee's pissed about it. Your owner's pissed about it, right? Do you feel like there will be a lot of extra juice in that series? And will you even fire up the boys a little bit more and be like, let's win this one for Milwaukee? I mean, also, let's keep in mind, Pat, this is sports. This is fun. Like that is good for baseball to have this rivalry going right now.
Yeah, I think it's good for baseball. I think what Counts did can be viewed in many different ways. I've been close with this guy since he was 17 years old, so I don't need to comment on anything. We'll always be close. It doesn't matter what happens. We could fight, and Counts could jump on my back during a brawl, and we're still going to be, that would be his best strategy. But that's going to be what it is. Will there be extra juice? I think people will. It's just going to be so exposed. I think the fans and the people around it will be very, very interested. I think.
No.
Now he got the text message from Matt Arnold.
That was the cliffhanger.
There he
wait,
is.
he's coming. He's coming. He's coming back. All right, go ahead, re-rack it.
Did you get? No,
we got all of it up until you said, "Will there be extra juice?" Like, so, I mean, sold out crowd, the whole deal. So, like, tell me what that's going to be like.
Yeah, I think it'll be worth the price of admission. I really do. I think there's going to be a lot of people very interested. There'll be high emotion in the game. Players will feel that. There's so much energy. You guys know. There's so much energy from the stands, even in those games. I mean, Kratzy, talk about 163, man. That was incredible. Yelly came in one inning. He's like, Murph, I can feel the ground moving. Like that's the energy from the fans. Like that's we're going to have some of that in that series, I'm sure. And they're going to spend a shit ton of money here in the next month, and they'll be odds-on favorite to do a lot of things.
Love that last part. Spend that money, baby. That's what more teams need to do. I'm kind of smiling right now because I know this answer is going to be pretty funny. I would assume. I think people want to know, like, talk to us what goes on during your day. I want to hear like a full day of you. After a Sunday night, you wake up Monday morning. Give us the perspective of your full day now.
I'll give you today, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Today I woke up around 5:30. My two kids are in bed with me, my 9-year-old, my 4-year-old. My 9-year-old's snoring a little bit. So then I go downstairs and I get their breakfast ready. My one guy needs a certain shake, like a protein shake. He doesn't have a great diet yet, but I give him a protein shake with all sorts of vegetables and fruit in it. And then make bacon for my little guy. And then they get up. They get on their videos, their YouTube videos, and I've already done my notes for the day, planning for the day. Phone calls start rolling in, texts start rolling in. I do a little meeting planning. I have a meeting tonight at 6:30. It's pretty important. My caregiver that I'm about to hire full time is coming to meet with me with her husband, and I want to make sure that I get that down. I got a scheduled meeting with Arnold here at 1:30 Arizona time. So I'll prepare a little bit what I want to include in that. So I like to write everything down. Then I went this morning out here to Exos to meet Alex Bregman. We haven't seen each other since the season. We've got some kind of goofy connection, but I'm going to go and hit with him after his workout here at Exos. My 22-year-old is working out here also, so I get to see him. I get to bring his little brothers out to him. But then I'm going over in Chandler to hit with Bregman and just kind of observe and whatever, Then, I get home. We've got 9U practice tonight. I've got that meeting with my caregiver and her husband. Household duties, get them food. Be dad and be baseball. Never a dull moment.
No.
You definitely need to write this down.
Yeah,
you need to write it all down. Especially at your age, you'll forget half that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have a TV on? Do you have a TV on during the day, or does the TV stay off?
TV's off.
Okay, well, if you do turn a TV on, I didn't hear in there from 1 to 3 that you tune into FT
Well,
Live.
it's on demand.
This is a live show. Like, we can just put that on, cue it up.
Right. I need somebody to come to the house and get that on the TV for me. I need a personal assistant, Kratzy, if you're looking for employment. I know you got 14 children, but I'd like to.
Yeah. True.
Hey, I'll be your personal assistant, but you have to call me. You have to call me either Dr. Kratz every day, or you have to make me your bench coach and kick your other bench coach and make him the assistant bench coach. But I'm not going to be at any games.
You just from a distance.
I'm going to be your virtual bench coach. Yes.
Associate virtual bench coach.
I kind of figure I'm going to get that anyways because the comments I'm going to get in the text. Nice decision.
You know it. You know it. You know I'm going to be over here, and here's my question for you, and this is completely off topic because we were just talking bench coach. Are you still going to be here? Are you still going to be here?
No, I might go here.
You're already
Can you remember?
changed.
Let's give them to the world. Let's give them to the world. Can you remember them?
5. If I start with a 5, it means nothing.
Nothing.
This
start with a 1.
Is on you. 1, nothing. 2, you're picking over. 3.
No, Kratzy, jeez.
Come on,
man.
What is it?
Let Frazier figure this out. This is pretty sure.
Frazier doesn't know.
First number, if it's 1, 5, or a fist, there's nothing on no matter what I get.
Nothing.
I'm always going to give you 3 numbers. 1, 5, or fist, nothing's on. Okay? So that gives me 2, 3, 4 to work with. If I start with a 2, 3, 4, we go to the second number. The second number is even, we're live. If the second number is odd, we're dead again. Can't figure them out. Can't be deciphered. It's unbelievable.
That's not that hard.
I forgot it. It's my fault. Okay?
You can't pick them. Well, wait a minute. You never even looked over. What are you talking about?
No. That's not true. That's not true. You
got him.
You would give me this more than anything.
Use your damn brain.
So that was Murph's way of saying, I don't think he'll go, but if I say this and he goes, I still look good. Because when Counts turns around like this, he goes, turns around and looks at you, you're like, hey, I told him.
Smart
man.
I
go, hey, in case I'm not paying attention, I'll just go like this. They'll think on the other side, they'll think like, hey, I know what's going on. Hey, he went like this. Maybe they know something.
Yep. Shadows.
One more for you before we let you jump. So fan question, I'll mix them together. Jackson said that's funny, Jackson asking the question. Maybe it's him. Is Chourio opening day center fielder? And then D-Rod asking who's playing first base for the Brewers. By the way, you lost one of the top shit talkers in the game in Ratty Tellez. The Brewers-Pirates rivalry is on too. But your thoughts on what's happening in center and at first this year?
Yeah, center field, we've got some great options. Garrett Mitchell is a ball player, as talented as anybody in that position. Young player with a great upside. Joey Weimer is a tremendous defender, and I believe Joey Weimer will figure it out because he's the right kid and he's got aptitude and he's not afraid. He'll make adjustments. He's also a great center fielder. Sal Frelick can play center field, among other places. Chourio, he's number 94 right now, but when he makes it to the big leagues, he'll be number 11. But it's, I'll tell you, we got some options in center field. First base, a lot of options, but Jake Bowers is with us. Really hasn't had a full-time chance in the big leagues. We're excited for him. Tyler Black is a kid that's played mostly third coming up. He's got to make the team. He'll start in AAA, one or the other. Owen Miller has played there in the past, and who knows? We could acquire a first baseman, or Fraze can come up back, play a little first.
Let's go. He's cheaper than Carlos Santana.
I could be a catcher too now.
No. He can't. No, he can't.
No, good.
Murph's not an idiot. He's old.
Go ahead, EK. EK, you got one more, and then Jack Flaherty's coming up.
I do. So we got to make it quick so that Murph gets off of here so we can have a real big leaguer on here. But, Murph, I saw you say that about Chourio.
Kratzy, nothing you can say. Nothing you can say because I know you. So just remember that.
I know, but I saw you say that about Chourio. You got interviewed soon after he got his contract about him needing to earn his number. What does that mean to you because of the entire journey? You've had to earn everything you've gotten. What does that mean to you that a young kid like that has to earn his number?
Yeah, I don't know that I've earned everything I got, and I consider myself fortunate. But earned is a tough word. Players earn things. I think Chourio has to come into spring training with the right mindset. He doesn't have to produce necessarily. He has to come with the right mindset, and I mean that sincerely. And he has to be aware of what it takes to be a big leaguer and what it takes for him to be a big leaguer. And when he does that, he'll be in the big leagues. But until he does that, he'll be number 94.
There it is, Murph. Well, don't hold too tight to your number. We're going to spend the next few weeks trying to talk Frazier into making the trip out to Arizona. So you'll see Todd Father soon, a revamped.
Is he a big league camp invite, Murph, or is he going to be on the Cloverleaf and then have to come over for the games?
No, he can just show to the games and rake in the games, and then we'll talk about it later. You don't need to take ground balls and stretch out. It's show and go.
You know how I was. I didn't need to hit. Just give me a damn bat. I was fine with it. Let's go.
Show and go. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Just
Pat, we appreciate you. We're going to work on it, Pat. I know you got 9 other things on the itinerary today, so get after it. Congratulations in all seriousness again, and we enjoy the combos, and this is going to be the first of many as the head honcho there in Milwaukee. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Have me on again in October or November.
You got it.
Sooner before that
time, baby. Pat Murphy, new skipper of the Milwaukee Brewers. He's a gem. That was awesome. Whew, that was fun. Jack Flaherty's going to join us in like a minute or two, so we're looking forward to that.
If you're a free agent and he is in the room, I don't know that every free agent talks to every manager before they're going to sign. I think it's awesome. I think he is the guy to sell it.
You see this, Scotty?
Yeah, I do. Let's get after it. Ready?
Oh my God!
We got a big league ball club deal right here.
Talking about the atoll.
The San Francisco Giants have acquired left-handed pitcher Robbie Ray. A little breaking news from the Seattle Mariners. In return, Mitch Haniger is back with Seattle. Anthony DeSclafani also going to the Mariners in the deal. They are working on a second trade, Seattle is, with Tampa Bay, and that would involve an exchange of major league position players. That's all according to Ken, who says first on the Giants deal was passing. So the heavy hitter's bringing it right now.
Well, we go 20 minutes north here and get DeSclafani to come in here with us, dude. That's my guy.
I mean, whoa.
Yeah, let's get him over.
This is what, month 10? Like, do something one time.
Do something.
Get it done.
I got
Pete Alonso.
He's got Pistol Pete.
Everybody.
I got Pete. I got Votto. I can keep going. You want me to keep going?
Get the man. Bring him in.
I get the big donkeys.
It's 20 minutes. I'll stay around for a later show.
All right, let's go.
There it is again, okay? So Passion reporting, Giants Mariners. The trade is former Cy Young winner Robbie Ray to the San Francisco Giants. Mitch Haniger and Anthony DeSclafani moving back, and then Ken Rosenthal adding that we should expect a Rays Mariners deal that involves major league position players. Woo! Okay. So the Mariners are also getting cash back in the deal. That's according to Ken. Okay.
They love cash.
Jerry.
So quick thoughts, and then we can talk about this more after we have a conversation with Jack Flaherty. But these were two teams that were being, I would say, pretty heavily criticized from their fan base, looking for more from them. Now, San Francisco has made some moves, right? You might not like the moves that they've made, but they've made moves, and they definitely needed a pitcher towards the top of their rotation. Robbie Ray could be that guy. Now, I don't know the exact money, but 5 years, $115 million is the contract that Robbie Ray is currently on. We know that the Giants are cool with taking on more money, and the Mariners are broke. So this makes sense on that front. But we'll get back to it in a sec. All right, hold those thoughts.
You said
we've
broke.
got a team that's been spending this offseason, and they brought in Mr. Jack Flaherty, who is now on FTLIVE, the new Detroit Tiger, joining us right now from the Coche. Jack, how you doing? Great to have you on, and congratulations on signing with the Tigers, dude. How does it feel?
It feels good. I'm doing good, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a little bit of a busy morning, but it's good to be here.
Yeah, great to have you.
What's that flex? What's that flex behind your head there? I know it's
There's
a busy
no
morning.
flex, man. I'm trying to actually cover this thing up. I'm just
no. We gotta see it.
I ran out to the car.
Oh, that's Lambo, baby.
We gotta see it.
I finished. No. I finished throwing. I ran out to the car to try to give you guys some quiet and whatnot. So, yeah, we're doing all right.
We appreciate it, dude. So first off, let's get the behind the scenes. How did the Tigers deal come together? Were they one of the first teams to talk to you? You know, give us what you can now that you're officially on board.
Yeah. You know, they were one of the first teams to come, and, you know, I sat down with Hinch. He came out and we had dinner. And then, you know, it was one of those things where we were in constant contact, and then things kind of happened real quick where it was, you know, it was like, all right, hey, we got to make a decision here soon. And, you know, it felt like, you know, they were always trying to make, do whatever was possible. And so, you know, I wanted to get on a call with the pitching coach, and, you know, within about an hour, I was on a call with all three pitching coaches there and Hinch. And, you know, we broke things down, kind of trying to figure out, you know, how can we make this work? What can we make happen? How do we get better, and how do we make these adjustments? And, love what they had to say. I felt like, you know, it was a team last year playing against them. It was one of those teams that was sneaky. And, you know, they kind of turned it on at the end of the year. And, you know, you look at their roster, you look at the guys they have, you look at them, you know, bringing in Kenta, you know, Skubal, he can throw it. You look at, you know, their lineup, and, you know, they brought in Javi, you know, last year. And, but they got some pieces, and, you know, it was one of those teams that going against them, you could see it. You could see the talent across the board. And it's, you know, I'm just looking forward to it.
I think you bring up a good point. I was going to bring that up as well. The pieces that you guys picked up, that AL Central's wide open. I mean, in my opinion, you got guys like Chafin, Canna, Shelby Miller, Maeda. You got some dudes that have been around for a while that could come up and dominate a game if they have to. So it feels like Detroit is going up, you know, going up in the level now to be where they need to be. I mean, how you got to be somewhat excited, no?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to go somewhere and compete to win. You know, I did that the whole time, you know, in St. Louis, and then even getting traded over to Baltimore. So, you know, you look at this team, and you look at the American League as a whole, you look at everybody, but it's one of those things where we got a chance to go out and win. And that's kind of the most important thing. That's what you look forward to every year. You know, every time you step into spring training, you know, you want to keep going up, and, you know, up through November. I think the World Series went this year. So, it's an exciting team, and it's an exciting, you know, place to be. So, you know, we got a chance to go out and compete. You know, I got adjustments to make on my own that we're working on, and, you know, we've had conversations about how do we make that happen. So I'm looking forward to it.
What's the most important thing? You mentioned a lot of stuff. You mentioned the future of the organization. I know AJ, he pushes that to every free agent he talks to. When I talked to him about when he first got the job, he pushed about the future of the organization. You're on a 1-year deal. You're on kind of a prove it deal, if I'm not mistaken. You want to prove it, and you want to go back out to free agency. So what's the most important thing? Yes, winning a championship. But is it what kind of adjustments they're looking to make? Is it the cash that they're offering you to get that money this year? Is it facilities? Is it a coach? What is the one most important thing for you to be that number 4 in the Cy Young voting again, like you were just a few years ago?
It's hard to say that there's just one thing. I think that there's two pieces to it. Is communication. That the communication I had with them, the communication I had with Hinch, he was very honest with me and breaking things down when we went to dinner. And then with Fett as well, when we got on a call, and the way that he broke things down, and Robin and the guys that they have over there, the way that they broke things down and the honesty that they gave me, and the way that they felt we could make adjustments and how we could get back to, where I was at, and, prior to tearing my oblique and whatnot. So those were the things that were huge to me, was the communication and that aspect of it, and the honesty, which is something that I appreciated. And it was, it was good to hear. Sometimes it's hard to hear certain things, but when somebody has the ability to be honest with you, you got to be able to take it and take the information and work with it. So, it's that, and then, the ability to go out and win and compete. So, that's the other part of it. And, if the team goes out and win and we go out and win, I'm probably doing something right as well. So that's the other piece of it. So the winning part should take care of, once those adjustments are made, the winning part kind of takes care of everything else.
I just kind of have a comment for what you just said about the honesty. Like, that is so important. That is something that is missed, that people don't understand. Players want to be told and to be just honest, because you want to be your best, and you may or may not trust the people you talk to, but I can tell you from personal experience, you can trust what AJ said. He's going to be honest, and he's going to give it to you straight. So I don't know any other coaches on that coaching staff, but if he's the one in charge, you got a straight shooter there.
Oh yeah, you could feel it. You could feel the honesty, and sometimes it's hard to hear, but it might hurt in that first few minutes after you hear it, and then you kind of break it all down, and you're like, all right, yeah, you're right. And so you appreciate it. You appreciate the fact that making me honest, and you're gonna be honest with you throughout the whole year.
Let me ask you this now: being injured, understanding injuries do happen. You go to Baltimore, struggle a little bit. Injury's still there. Now, does your off season change at all? Are you trying to do something different? Is there, a new program you're trying to do to make sure you're fully healthy as this year goes on?
Yeah, I mean, there's changes that have to be made. You start doing the same thing over and over again, expect different results. It's not really gonna work out. So we've made some changes. Change where I've been working out and living, and kind of just got away from things, and really been focused in on the way that I've been working out, the way I've been training, the way I've been moving. A lot of those things and struggles were affiliated with just the way that I was moving, and not being able to repeat some of my delivery over and over again. You kind of was able to, I felt like throughout this season I had spurts where things were really good, and then there were spurts where things were just not great at all. And you go over to Baltimore, first start there, everything was locked in, but just wasn't able to repeat it after that. And some of that was just strength, some of that was the way I was moving. And so we're trying to get back to be able to repeat it over and over again, because that's that's when you get 30-35 starts a year, you're gonna have a couple that just aren't great, and that's just the way it is. But and then you're gonna have some where everything works out perfectly, and then you got about 20 to 25 where you kind of work with what you got, but you want to make those as consistent as you got. You want to make those, those down periods you don't want them to be super low. So we've revamped some things. We've working with the Tigers, constant communication with them, and just what they feel, and what we feel over here. So it's been productive. Still got a month or so left before I get out there. So it's been good so far.
What other teams reached out? Like, your boy Giolito signed with the Red Sox, and he was like, not as many as you think, although he ended up getting a nice little deal and also can break off free after a year if, he does what he should do. But what kind of interest was out there, if you can list?
Well, I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm happy he got his deal. He got what he wanted. He's gonna, Boston got a good one. That's my guy. And then, but there was some interest with Kansas City, and who else was on that list? The White Sox, and a couple others that were interested but didn't turn into anything. So it was that part was kind of interesting. It was like, oh, we're interested, but we're waiting for this and that, and but then you get these teams with real interest, and you feel like a priority. So that was kind of important, as opposed to we're interested, but we got to wait for this and that. So there were some teams on that end.
You look at what a guy like Jordan Montgomery did in going over to the Rangers. Is there any part in your mind set going, you know what if I had a shot in the postseason to get to pitch and like show what I can do and dominate for 6 or 7 starts and take that team, take the Orioles to the World Series, kind of like Monty did. Like, do you feel like that? You feel like you kind of missed a chance there, or was there other things in those times?
I don't wonder what if, because it kind of falls on me. If I had gone out and pitched well, if I had taken that first start in Toronto and even the second start against Houston, I had continued to do that, I would have gotten that opportunity. But the Orioles made the decision that was best for them and, ended up moving me to the pen. So I can't really wonder what if. It was just like I didn't go out and pitch well. And that's kind of what happens when you're in a pennant. Like, I've seen it when you're in a pennant race and you're trying to, win a division and then go win a pennant. You got to make the best moves you can as a team. And at that point, we had guys that were chucking it. Bradish was throwing the ball really well. Grayson was throwing the ball really well. Kramer, Gibson, even going down to like Cole Irvin and John Means, like all those guys were throwing the ball well. And it just so happens I wasn't. So, I'm happy. Monty went out and shoved, and I kind of knew he was going to, just the way he is, being around him. He was locked in. He had his stuff figured out. So it's not that I wonder what if, because it's not like things weren't in my control. I just had to go out and pitch well, and I didn't do that. And it's pretty simple, black and white. So, you take it, you learn from it, and you go out and make the adjustments necessary so that you're not in that position again.
Speaking of adjustments, what was it like losing Yadier Molina as your everyday catcher, being, that young guy transitioning into the pitcher you are now? What was it like losing him, and then also not losing him, just he wasn't on a team anymore? that sounded terrible when I listened to it in my head. But what was it like losing that type of, like, your battery mate?
Yeah, I mean, you go through adjustments. Yadi was hurt at certain times, and you make the adjustments. We had work with Kisner and work with Wieters over the course of that time and during those handful of years. But it's you lose a guy like that, and it's tough to come in and replace him. And Wilson came in, and he did an unbelievable job. And he got a brunt of a lot of, like, he took a lot of the blame, and it really wasn't him. And I'm at fault for that because of things that I said that I was not talking about him. And it was after we started against the Angels, and I'm talking about how we're throwing pitches that don't make sense. And what I really meant to say was I'm not executing. Like, I'm throwing two strike sliders that are being called and are the right pitch, and I'm throwing them right down the middle. And that was just something that was going on, and that has nothing to do with your catcher at all. Like, it doesn't. It just comes down to execution. And you can throw the right pitch, but when you throw it over the middle of the plate, I'm like, that doesn't make sense in my head as to why I'm doing that and what's going on. But he came in, he wanted to learn, he wanted to work, he sat with me. He didn't go to WBC, which was a huge plus. I got to throw to him every single time. We got to work, we got to do these things. And we just didn't execute. And that doesn't come down to pitch calling. You could have had Yadier Molina back there. And obviously it was an adjustment for everybody. But when you don't execute, bad things happen. And that has nothing to do with, like, you could call the right pitch, but when you don't execute, you throw things in the middle, just bad things happen.
Yeah, bad things happen. Sometimes you have bad fingers. Your fingers need icing more than your arm. Do you feel like I was contending during that time of the year when you had made your comments, when when everything was going down early in the year, he's not going to catch, and then 10 days later he's mysteriously catching again. Do you feel like the organization kind of leaned on Yadi more, and somebody should have stepped up and been like, wait a minute, like, Yadi's been doing all this stuff for us. Guys weren't necessarily making scouting reports for you guys. Guys weren't necessarily preparing their team because they had Yadi. Do you think the organization was leaning on Yadi more than they realized when that crutch got kicked out from underneath them?
I think that, it falls on the players, though. you want to look at the organization when it falls on the players. You got to, as much as you want to, for myself, like I learned from Yadi and I learned from Waino, and Waino was as prepared as Yadi was going into every single start. So I took from him, and you go in and he's prepared. He's studied the hitters. He knows what's going on. He knows the situations. And then you can always fall back on Yadi. The guy, he's the smartest catcher in the game, understands everything, has an incredible feel, and you can rely on him to call pitches. And, he's going to call the right pitch, or at least what he thinks is the right pitch. And if you go out and execute, good things are going to happen. So I think, it comes down to trust, and there's always a learning curve when you get a new catcher and you get a new battery mate. And sometimes it takes a second, and it doesn't always click right away, and there's a little bit of a learning curve. And then you throw in the pitch clock too, where now you're, with Yadi, it's one, you have that guy, you have this, 9-time Gold Glover, however many platinum gloves he's got, and you just trust him as an organization. And now you've got 15 seconds to make a pitch, and you come to an agreement on a pitch and make a pitch. Things, sometimes you don't always agree, and that's just the way it goes. But you have to go in and be prepared. You have to know that what's going on, and to Wilson's credit, as a catcher, he went and did his work, and he listened, he paid attention. And sometimes the game just comes down to execution.
You're going to go ahead and make your 33 starts. You guys are going to go make the playoffs. Tigers fans are going to be super juiced. Outside of the physical attributes of what you're going to do on the field for the Tigers, what are you bringing to this team? What are you bringing to this team? Not that they don't have, because you haven't been on this team. You don't know Spencer Torkelson. You don't know Skubal and what he's bringing on the mound. What are you bringing to the team that you're going to be like at the end of your 33 starts, plus your postseason starts, you're going to be looking for $150 million in free agency next year? What is your lasting imprint that you're going to bring to this Tigers team?
That's a good question. Hopefully something that has been instilled in me that I've been given from Waino and from Yadi, and some of that is just the hard work and the day-to-day, the work that goes in, the preparation that goes in. And if guys can just take a little bit of that, and you don't have to mimic it, you don't have to do this. Like, I may do some stuff that's over the top. I may be in there longer than I need to be, but if you can take some of that work ethic, and if you can take some of that, confidence to be able to bounce back after, I'm going to go out and have a tough start, but I'm going to be in there the next day working, and we're going to figure it out to the next one. And, trying to be the same consistent guy each and every day, and bringing that work ethic and bringing some of that experience. It's weird to say, being, I'm only 28, but I guess I'm, looked at as a veteran in there, and, having been around and been to the playoffs a couple times and been in some big games, and, teaching them the little ins and outs, and what goes into the game, what it means to go be that starter, and to be consistent, and, even position player wise, like, you just see some of the work. Like, I got that from Yad, the way that he worked and the way he went about his business. You can take some of that no matter who you are. And so I think being able to do that, and be able to kind of walk through the game and break down the game, and especially when you get into big spots and big situations and big moments, and be able to understand that it's still the same game. I think I got a lot to bring in terms of that, and in terms of just being consistent, and the work ethic, and everything that goes into it.
Hey, Jack, you're part of the Players Union. I don't know if are you still on the rules subcommittee too, or?
No, I got off the rules subcommittee, but
Okay.
I'm on the Players Union and the subcommittee for that. But I got off the rules committee, but I can answer anything about it.
Okay. So general question here for you, because obviously this show's independent, right? So we're not with the league. We're not like, we just cover the sport like it should be covered, which is whatever's going on. So general question, like, where do you think we're at with the game from a business standpoint, from a rules standpoint? Like, what are some of the things that are important to you that you try and pass on to younger players, and that you also try and kind of represent when you're talking to your peers about, what we should be thinking about as a sport?
The game's in a good spot. Obviously, the pitch clock had massive changes to it, just in terms of the game. I mean, we got down to 2 hours and 40 minutes of game time, which the league wanted, and I think across the board. I think fans adjusted as well as the year went on. Fans adjusted, players adjusted as the year went on. You know, for fans, it was like, oh, like, you know, you get a, you know, fans, it was just quick. Like that, the back half of the game was a lot faster than it used to be with relievers and whatnot coming in. And I think everybody adjusted to it and enjoyed it. You saw more people staying later, staying till the end. And then, you know, we want to make more adjustments to it, which we didn't love. Like, truthfully, we didn't love the fact, like, well, we want to shave 2 more seconds off the clock because somehow it's going to get us down to, you know, 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is what the league wants at the end of the day. Meanwhile, we have, like, you know, a record setting for pitcher injuries, but, you know, we want to preach player safety, but you know, we're shaving more time off the clock. So that's something that is just kind of, you know, going to be watched and trying to make sure that guys are protected. And you know, it's another year to adjust to it. So I think guys are going to continue to do that. But you know, we're going in a good direction. There's some more rules that are going to be adjusted as we kind of go on. You know, we talked about blocking bases. And a couple other things, but you know, it'll be interesting how this rule goes with the runner's lane in at first base, and how that's going to be affected. And you know, we'll see if that has an impact on the game at all. But you know, players just they just want to be given a chance for the game to not change. You know, as you go through the game and you get into these bigger games and bigger situations, and you didn't see it. You know, surprisingly, I didn't see it a whole lot in playoffs where you really need to slow the game down and you take that second. But I think that, you know, guys still want to be able to use the little techniques that they've been using throughout their, you know, entire lives in terms of slowing the game down.
My question to you now, I want to change just a little bit of gears here. Yamamoto and Ohtani deals to LA. Talk a little bit about that, and you know, how this is this helping baseball? Like, what do you think about this whole situation? I know they're going to be a dominant team, but how fascinating it was this offseason. You know, everybody's trying to figure out where they were going. LA just keeps getting better and better.
I mean, every player wants everybody to get paid, so it's a good thing when Shohei goes out and gets that. Like, and then same thing with Yamamoto coming over. I mean, it just shows you the talent in Japan and that they're coming. I mean, you know, they got us in the WBC. Granted, we didn't necessarily have everybody, but those guys are studs, and if you're a stud, you deserve to get paid. Everybody deserves to get there. So I'm happy for both of them. It's good to see, you know, teams spending money is a good thing. You know, you want to see teams go out and spend money on these guys and not nickel and dime. You know, you're hoping that, you know, when this thing's all said and done, that Snell gets paid, Monty gets paid. Who else? I forget who else is a free agent, but I know there's some studs out there still. So you want each and every one of them to get paid and get theirs. And you know, Yamamoto and Shohei being in LA, being in a big market is good for the league, and it's good for everybody. I mean, it's going to be a fun team to compete against. So I can say that for sure. And then you know, next year when Shohei comes back and is pitching again, it'll just be even more fun. So you know, they got a good group over there, and you know, I'm looking forward to it.
Now, you said, you kind of lightly said it. You said, yeah, we didn't quite have everybody. You think we beat Japan there? You think we America, USA, you think we get them if all the boys show up?
Here's the thing. What was the final score of the game? 3-2?
Yep, 3-2. Trout was up.
Well, we had the lineup there, and it's not like it was a lack of pitching because those guys went out and shoved. So, you know, Merrill went out and shoved. All the guys that were there went out and shoved. So I guess I can't say we didn't have everybody. It was just one of those things where they scored one more run than we did. It's not like, you know, it was a 7-3 ball game and we got out pitched. Like, those guys went out and shoved. Those guys can do it. Merrill's a stud. He went out and did his thing, and everybody else who pitched in that game went out and did it. So, you know, I guess thinking back on it after you say that, like, we kind of did just get beat, and it came down to one of those things where it was it was a good game. It was fun. You'd love to play that game multiple times and see what happens. Kind of like the World Series.
Hey, Jack, I got one more for you on your other buddy from school. So why isn't Max Fried on one of those long ass Braves extensions? And I mean,
Great
obviously,
question.
I'm just wondering. I'm sure they've had some type of conversations over the years. I know last year he missed some time with injury, but he's one of the best pitchers in the league. We all know that, and I think he's going to have an insane year and probably make $200+ million next offseason. But have you looked at that and been like, damn, Braves should have locked him up 5 years ago?
I mean, Max deserves to get paid. That's for sure. He deserves to get paid wherever that ends up being. If it's not in Atlanta, then it's not in Atlanta. But that dude's a stud. He's been a stud since he came into this league. You look at what he did with them on their World Series run. I mean, he was their workhorse. And if they're in it, if they're in it, he's doing something right. And he's out there shoving. So he's right there with Strider. He's gonna go out and win games. Strider's going to put up the gaudy numbers. He's going to punch everybody. And Max is just going to go out there silently, go anywhere from 6 to 9 innings, and he's going to shove it. So that's just what he does. It may not be, he may punch out 300 guys. Like, he's got the stuff to do it. Just, but he's going to find a way. He's going to go 6 innings or 9 innings, and he's going to give you a quality start every time. And that's the kind of guy you want. As to why, I don't know why. I would have, but you could say that about a lot of guys who end up making it to free agency, and teams don't end up signing them. And it's kind of, one of those questions of why would you not, want to do it? Why would you wait and let this guy get to free agency when, everybody would like to get paid. And if you love the team, like that's where you want to be. So, but I'm looking forward to Max's year. He's doing well. He's going to go out. He's going to do his thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing where he finishes in Cy Young.
Dude, is it annoying that you get asked about either Giolito, Fried, every single time? Like, I love it. Yeah, I don't care if you're boys. Like, at some point, like, you want to be – it's like when we had the Palacios on. The Palacios, like, they don't need to always be talked about Richie and Joshua. Like, they're their own people.
I will answer questions about them and pump them up and let everybody know that they're the 2 biggest studs in the world. And then, sooner or later, it's going to turn into Pete Crow Armstrong, too, who debuted with the Cubs this year. And I've known Pete since, Pete played with my little brother. So I've known Pete since he was 7. And that's going to come up here soon, once he starts doing his thing in Chicago. So I'm just waiting for that one, too. So I'm all for it. I'll take those questions every day. I love talking about those guys.
If you go back and watch when Max was on the show, it was at the Players Trust weekend when we were out in Vegas.
We saw Jack there.
Yeah, I saw Jack, but I didn't say hi. He was too cool, too good looking. But
well, no, we were on air. I saw Jack. I wanted to say hi, but we were literally interviewing people. So I think I saw him, give a little love tap to Max as he was walking by.
So Max was on, and I'm so glad that you're on, because what's your school called? Westlake give up a hit to Kratz?
Oh, shit.
I'm sorry.
He knew. Did you know that I got a hit against you? Me.
Yeah.
A Bobo backup catcher.
I mean, I've given up enough hits in my day, especially to Milwaukee. So it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me giving up hits against Milwaukee. That's the way it goes.
It was just one. Max remembered it. He actually brought it up. I wasn't going to bring it up to him, but that one was a double. Yours was just a broke single. But
I've given up hits to both of you guys. I remember giving up hits to Frazier, so I remember that one a little bit more. That doesn't mean anything, but I remember that one when he was in New York.
Yeah, he probably did a little more damage. I did less damage.
No, just one of his one-handed off the end of the bats. One of those he manages.
Yeah, he was good at those.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Scott, I can't hear you. I don't know if it's me or whatnot, but I can't hear you.
Peace. Good luck. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Scotty was just saying how much he hates your Lamborghini and how much. No, he was just saying.
Oh, I'm back.
He was just saying congratulations.
Yeah, dude. Just saying congratulations, man. We appreciate you. Thanks for hopping on with us here for the first time. Enjoy the rest of the offseason. We'll see you in camp in good old Lakeland.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Jack. Cheers, man. Jack Flaherty with us on FTLIVE, new member of the Detroit Tigers starting staff. Hey, you know I said it, Kratz. It's one of my teams this year.
I can't wait till we do our over-unders. I can't wait till we do our over-unders. Like, and I don't want BetMGM to be using our info to pick their numbers. I don't want their number to be so close to my number when they set their odds. I want the easy picks.
Hey, I hammered the Reds last year, and I nailed it. That was my team for the over. So let's do BetMGM right now, and then we'll go back to the trade. But the BetMGM World Series odds, we're reviewing teams from this past season to see how the odds circulate. We're looking at the New York Metropolitans, who entered the season as a plus 900 World Series favorite. That is high praise. Now, by midseason, it looked like they were a mess. They got the Heisman from Jamie Foxx and from the rest of Major League Baseball, as most teams were like, hey, I know you've got the world's highest payroll ever in baseball history, but that doesn't mean shit. And eventually this team really fell off a cliff and then ended up trading away Scherzer and Verlander. And by July 10th, they were 42-48, 6 games below 500 at plus 6,600 to win the World Series. And then obviously we showed you right there at the end, by the time you get to the playoffs, they obviously didn't make the playoffs. So they were 7 games back from the wild card when they were 42-48, and people were like, you're done. There was like a few little moments where they would win a few games in a row, but I mean, it was one of the most disappointing seasons of all time. Yes, of all time. By the time you saw the product, you were like, this isn't that good. But coming into the season, this was the biggest payroll ever with 2 Hall of Famers at the top of the rotation, and it did not happen for them.
Hall of Famers it wasn't like they got guys that were like, we're hanging on, we're trying to get a glitzy team. There wasn't a move last year in the offseason, money or no money, that you were like, I don't know why they did that. They had a world-class closer. They had 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers. Maybe like some of the talk was going to be, are they going to not coexist in this locker room? Well, that got squashed. We're fine. Who cares? They're pitchers. It doesn't matter anyway. They re-signed Nimmo. Like, they had the squad, and nobody chose. Maybe some people didn't choose the team to win the division, but nobody saw what was coming. And I think maybe the Mets were more like fans, making their team based the way that fans would make them. Hey, we got Scherzer. Now we got Verlander too, coming off the year he just had, and it went, just like it said at the bottom of that, it went off. 10-2, they're off the list. They were no longer available.
It's crazy. The only thing I will say that helped them was they were decisive, saying it ain't happening, and they made some very unique moves based off the money that they were able to cover for Scherzer and Verlander to pick up some really, really good prospects. Just saying.
They went to the top end. Some people will look and be like, oh, well, this team, they got 5 guys for our one guy. Their one guy that they got in these trades, they're marquee prospects that are going to be big league players. Are they going to be all-stars? That's too hard to pick out. But they paid out as much as they paid in salaries. They paid that much again in prospect capital, buying and eating that money so that they could get something back. So it's exciting, especially when you see them getting a guy like Harrison Bader, because you're kind of already seeing a tiny little fingerprint of what David Stearns did in Milwaukee. The difference is you got kind of like an Andrew Friedman kind of thing. He built something great in Tampa, and now he's going to do the same thing, which will take years. It's going to take time, but now he's going to do it with just the golden purse. Instead of asking, he's just going to be pushing money across the table to Stearns. And he's like, well, actually, I would really like this guy because he hits and plays defense. Oh, thanks. I'll take him. That's what's coming down the line. So Mets fans need to be excited. TJ Mancuso, one of my good friends, huge Mets fan. You will see a World Series in your future.
And hey, for everyone else, if you're new to the party on BetMGM, the $1,500 first bet offer is good when you use the bonus code FOUL, F-O-U-L. Download the app, sign up and deposit at least $10 into your new account, place your first wager, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And if the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, so here's the deal. We'll give you a more full breakdown on the YouTube channel, either a live or a video coming up soon on that Mariners trade. We got to digest it because there's multiple trades now too. Luke Raley also getting picked up by the Seattle Mariners. And that's a guy, obviously, who can do a little platoon action against right-handed pitching. But we'll give you more on that. We're going to load up some tweets and the whole deal and look out for a live or for a video coming on the FT channel very, very soon. We'll put a close to this live video and do a little slap hands. Kratz hats, what do you got?
I want to get to that. I want to get to that live post. I want to see what we're going to say about it. Scranton Rail Riders. The jerseys matched the black part of the hat, and then they had lettering around with the it's a Friday night gear that they would wear as a blackout the park night. It was electric. So
I'm going to finish with this. We have a super chat. We had a couple today. And for those of you unaware, I mean, if you drop a little dough and your name and a question, we'll usually read it on here. So Chris said, love the show, guys. Loved you on the Yankees, Kratz, but that shirt is making me think twice. Your Doc Pioneers knocked me and my high school team out in the 2016 district semis. That one still hurts a little.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you in the super chat. Appreciate you being a fan. But Doc, that's what we're going to do. We're going to knock you out of it. We're going to knock you out of the playoffs.
We're going to knock out some good info on the Mariners. That now we're seeing Jerry DiPoto with a bunch of words on the trade. So look out on the FT YouTube channel, like very soon. I'll just put that. I don't want to make any false promises. Very soon, we've got all that info coming up for you. And obviously, we're back on Monday. Chris Sale Monday? Word on the street? Little Chris Sale action on Monday?
I'm cutting my Doc shirt and coming on all shredded.
Should I wear a sleeveless Monday? All right, we'll see everyone Monday, but we'll also see you for a breakdown of the Mariners finally waking up from their snooze all offseason and kind of doing things, but also shedding money. More on that soon on FT.
Very DiPoto or Jerry DiPoto?
54% of the time, every time.